it's fucked. It's totally fucked.
Oh, good. We started recording. Okay. So, do y'all see that James O'Keefe thing with the CNN person?
Dude, fucking awesome. I was just looking at a meme today of James O'Keefe. Well, actually, it was Project Veritas, and it had like a cardboard box with like a little stick, right? And there's a guy like looking into the cardboard box, and it's like it's the guy says CNN, and then inside the box it's like some treats or whatever, and it says 2 or 3 drinks at a bar. And like it's so funny because like that's all they do is they like take a few guys out to drinks or dinner or whatever, and then they just start talking to whoever's chatting them up. It really reminds me of that movie Thank You for Smoking. Do you guys remember that movie?
Never saw it.
It was
a documentary or
no, it's a movie.
Yeah.
But it's like it really shows how lobbyists work, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And this lobbyist, like he's so good at chatting people up and getting them to like come over to his side, and he's lobbying for tobacco, obviously, right? But the funny part was somebody does a story on him, and like it's this woman, she gets into a relationship with him, they're having sex, and like then he's telling her all the secrets while they're having sex. And like afterwards she does this story on him, and he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, well, I wanted to get the secrets, and that was the only way that you were willing to give information. You like, I tried getting information from you other ways, and you only seemed willing during sex. So I had to do what I had to do. It's super, it's a fun movie, but
actually I saw a Facebook friend, I guess, who works in a hospital. It's like a doctor or a surgeon or something. And he had posted a box of cupcakes, and it said, thank you for the cupcakes, but no, we're not using your PCR lab. Right.
Oh.
Like that's, but
Wow.
It's just interesting because he's like, he wasn't trying to do it in a sort of exposing way. He was just more like, I'm just making a doctor joke, like it was from his perspective, he was just making a joke about it.
Yeah.
But it really shows like, that's why they do stuff like they're literally coming in there and schmoozing the doctors up and all that stuff. Did you see that movie with that woman who's a pharmaceutical rep? There was like this movie, I can't remember what it was called, but the character, she's a pharmaceutical rep. She like went from one job and then she goes into that, and it shows like the whole thing of how it's like, it's just sales. Like they go in there and they get the doctors to like say, okay, yeah, I'll give that drug out to patients and so forth.
Yes.
They don't really know what they're doing. And it's all about relationship building and everything. Why do we allow the thing that apparently is so important? Like it's about saving lives and all this stuff and health. I'll turn my mic down. But it's like, really, it's all just about just a game. It's just sales. It's nothing.
Well, one of the good
Money.
points was like how a teacher relies on parents not taking responsibility for their children's education. A doctor relies on people not taking responsibility. In the current context, right? They depend on people not being educated about their health.
Dude, you know how schools get their curriculum and textbooks and all that shit? It's exactly like what I was just describing with the pharmaceutical reps. It's exactly like the lobbyists. It's the same thing.
Who are the groups
not like
lobbying?
okay, what textbooks and so forth like will be the best delivery of education for our children? It's
sell
more
them
like
on the textbooks.
a rep comes in, they're like selling you on this new thing this company's produced. And so it's funny when people would look at TechnoTutor and be like, you guys are just trying to make money and sell a product and all this stuff. And it's like, that's the entire education system. There is nothing. We're in a capitalist society. It's not like you just be a nice guy and you do the right thing and then you get in there. Like you actually have to sell, know. But that being said, people they're not honest about that. You know what I mean? They act like, no, it's about like, you're really understanding everything or whatever. And like doctors don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. It's funny because they're bringing that model not just to doctors, but now to the public, where it's like now, and I think we've discussed this before, like, but Krispy Kreme offering a year supply of donuts for you getting a vaccine or showing that you got a vaccine. Like a bunch of other companies are doing it.
Wait, to individuals or to businesses?
It's like a free donut.
You get a free donut every day for a year, which is to me a year supply. Like you don't need that many.
Free donut every day.
Dude, Mike, or Asif, your mic is like
Oh my gosh.
not.
Hello.
Okay, there you
So
go.
that way you can just get the vaccine and then go back to.
Okay, hold on.
normal.
Think about this for a second, because I don't know about how you get the vaccine, but isn't it basically okay? This CVS has this one, this Walmart might have this one or whatever. But think about this. No, is anyone actually like, okay, which vaccine are you going to get? Well, I'm getting the one that, according to the testing, is the best one for me to get. Or is it more like they're just products like Nike or Reebok or Adidas, and you're just being marketed and you're like, yeah, I feel really good about the Adidas one.
Facebook does the marketing too, in the sense of like they give that the scrolling through like the articles, and one of them is I don't know if it was Fauci or whatever, one of the CDC. They're like, which vaccine should I get? Get whatever one you can get your hands on. So it's like, okay, just hurry, just get it.
But are they
Just
all
get it.
exactly
Don't
the
think,
same?
it's-
They're not.
It-
They're
you know, it's
just-
funny because
It's like
it's funny
impulsive
because
buy.
in Canada especially, like in Canada especially, it's really like, why the fuck are you being picky about your vaccine? It's like because the AstraZeneca one was just proving that it fucking kills people. Like, does that not matter? Like, it just got banned, right? So it's like they're just like, stop being picky. Like, just take whatever you get. Like, even the prime minister and everything. It's like, oh shit.
On Facebook, it told me today, it was like, hey, put your filter on your profile picture.
Saw that.
Add support to the vaccine. It literally says, it would say around my picture, because it's circular, it would say, get your vaccine support. I am vaccinated. You could choose whichever
Wow.
one you wanted, all saying like vaccine. And they're
Why
saying,
doesn't it say like perfect yourself or do what's best for all?
and then it says this many people, millions of people are currently using this filter. And it's like, whoa.
Social
Whoa.
proof. That's what we call social
Whoa.
proof in
Yeah.
marketing.
But it's like,
Whoa,
why the fuck is Facebook doing that? Facebook is obviously making money off of advertising for the vaccines. Like, it's blatantly obvious. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Like,
Yeah.
hello, people.
Yeah.
Plus, I saw a video by Anomaly, that rapper who does like commentary on YouTube, and he was talking. They did like NPR did a hit piece on him, a smear thing, and they were basically going into the stuff he said, which it was all a bunch of bullshit, what they were claiming that he said and all this. But what was interesting is he's like, they don't disclose the fact that they get all this money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And it actually, if you go into the website, it says that. But like, they're doing an article, basically in a way, it's like defending the vaccines and so forth. Again, basically talking shit about this guy as if he's spreading fake news, but they're literally just representing the interests of one of their donors. That's not news. It's
That's so
marketing.
interesting.
That's all it is.
Wow, that's so interesting. That's like,
Isn't the clinical trials for the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine conducted by Pfizer?
The clinical
initial-
trials.
The,
What do you
the
mean?
initial clinical trials of like when they based the 90% efficacy off of it?
I'm assuming they do that. Yeah, I don't know.
My point is like, I don't know if like Advil conducted tests on Advil and we're like, it works.
Oh, like it's not third party, you're saying.
But,
Yeah.
but look
Oh,
at how many
oh.
people. Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
they pay for these. Well, obviously they pay for it, but what I mean by that is like because I know somebody who conducts clinical trials for different pharmaceuticals, right? And what ends up happening is they pay the patients, of course, like you've seen the ads for it, where they pay the patients to participate in this clinical trial.
Yeah.
And then the
Thousands of dollars.
thousands of dollars. Yes, thousands
Oh
of dollars.
shit! I'm
Like-
glad you said that because
Yeah.
I've seen clinical trials that you can apply for. You get $250, something
No.
like that.
No.
I've been getting emails because when I was broke, I used to look into ways to make money, and I was like, dude, I could go do these things. But what they want you to do is literally go stay in
Mhm.
their facility
Mhm.
for 15 to 30 days, and each day you're getting dosed this thing. You can't, you have to be a certain age, you have to fit the demographic, and they're like, yep, you just gotta take this thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. You're the guinea pig,
Yep.
and you have to accept these terms, be okay with that. And we'll give you, literally one of them was like $5,682. I was like,
Shit, dude, do one of those a
What?
month.
and it was only a
Fucking good.
15-day thing. 15,
shit,
in
dude.
15 days. Like,
You're making more than
what?
teachers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do one of those a month, you're making more than the average, like
But
the average person in America.
if people had their basic needs met, would anyone ever sign up for that?
No.
Just
It
the
only
thrill
works in a
seekers.
world where we have poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Go back to Drake. Yeah, send it back to Drake.
so basically what's going on is, if the people that are paying you out, they're paying you out thousands of dollars, how much money do you think they're getting? Right.
True.
Oh, so
Like,
much.
because they have an entire office that they're running and everything, right?
True.
Let me tell you, they make bank. They make some bank, right? And so they're getting paid by the companies who want to test their drugs, right? And so they want to do a good job of testing these drugs, right? Which means that there's certain criteria that they have to I'm not suggesting that they're fudging the numbers or anything like that, but they know what the company is looking for, right? And so they're going to set it up in a way that's going to shed the best light on
Oh, yeah.
whatever research they're getting.
Right. And even
Right.
as a subconscious point, like, how many people do things to please their boss? You know what I mean? Like, imagine, even if you're not consciously like, okay, guys, let's like make sure we get the outcome. It's just like, okay, this person is providing for the roof over my head.
Yeah.
Do you
And
remember
paying
that
for my
episode of The
food.
Office where they're trying to argue about who gets the funding for the chairs?
chair, the-
I feel like we even talked about this before.
We did, 100%.
We did.
Yeah.
But that part where she's like, "Hey, hot tie guy," right? And then immediately she drops the face, like when he's not in the room, and she's like looking at the other guy or whatever it is.
Jim
like
or
pans
whatever.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just reminds me of that because people do that shit all the time. Like, you're not sincere.
Oh, for sure.
Did y'all see that? I don't know if I sent it to y'all. That video from Benjamin Boyce, where he was talking about Lionsgate. I sent it
Yes.
in the signature.
Yes,
Okay.
I saw that. That was crazy.
What's so interesting is, and Ola made a point about it on our last call.
Give me a resume of it, because I didn't.
Basically, the short story is it was an email someone sent him anonymously. That was an internal Lionsgate document. It's like a studio. It's like a movie studio, big one, right? And it was explaining their new criteria that they were sending out to all of their writers, producers, people in the production company, of how they were going to choose productions to put into production, like movies to put into production, how they were going to grade them and score them based on criteria of the characters and the storylines. Like, it has to hit certain points, and each thing gets different scores, and then it adds up to a certain threshold. But like,
But for those of you who don't know, Lionsgate is like Universal Studios, or
it's like massive, right?
Yeah.
But for example, if the character's a woman, that's 3 points. If they're disabled, it's an extra 3 points. And if they're a person of color, it's these points. And so
LGBTQ plus or whatever.
all of that,
all
and
of
like,
it, yeah.
and maybe you don't start with those concepts, but it has to go towards that in the story. And like, in other words, they're basically saying we're going to heavily incentivize these types of ideas in our movies. And then Ola made a good point. He said, because the academies, like the Oscars and I don't know, whatever they're called, those things have said, we're going to give awards to based on these particular things. So
Yes.
of course the studios are like, all right, guys, here's the new award criteria, make these kind of movies. And then they're setting up like a whole board to judge the movies to make sure they pass through properly so they can win the awards and so forth. So anybody who's like, oh, come on, they're not programming society. It's like, I'm not saying they're doing it for the purpose of programming society, those people at that level, but that is what they're doing, because when you take your kids to the movies, suddenly all the superheroes are transgender and disabled, and like the white person's the evil person every time.
You wonder at what point it's gonna, how they have like the background people in movies, there's like the extras and whatever. At what point they're gonna be wearing masks?
Oh, nice.
You know what I was thinking? How long until they start digitally editing old movies to get people when they're in like social situations to be wearing masks and stuff, like straight up 1984 style?
Yeah.
It's like the V for Vendetta too.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it was. But it reminds me of that point
That's
you're
all the
talking
content
about.
that I have. I mean,
That's all I got, guys. No, but that point you were
It's
saying
not
about
perfected.
the clinical trials and so forth, it's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
they're saying, here's what we want. And these people are like, okay, that's what you're saying you want. So we want you to pick us continuously. So we're going to
Yeah.
produce what you're looking for.
What
yeah,
if
and like
YouTube
wouldn't
put
you
masks on our faces?
say it again?
It's like a Snapchat filter or some shit.
It's like, what if
Make
YouTube
masks.
puts masks on our faces?
Yeah, that'd be fucking crazy, dude. They're probably gonna have an algo to be like, oh, this is how it's always been. Somebody's making this point of like, I don't know if this is the case, but back in like the Spanish flu or any other like big ass flus, like they didn't wear masks.
Yeah.
Because they knew they weren't effective. So I haven't looked at that myself, but I'm just my next point. to
Just
investigate.
read the book Contagion Myth by Thomas Cohen. And oh wait, it's not on Amazon. So yeah, you have to
Barnes
get
and
credit.
Nobles.
Go to eQuaf.
Yeah.
Listen to the coronavirus interviews.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to equaf.com, EQAFE.com, and get the coronavirus interviews.
And then when you can't handle it, go buy TechnoTutor. And put the
When you can't handle
vocabulary in.
that, go
and then-
start the IP Lite.
Yeah, and then put the vocabulary into TechnoTutor and then listen to it again, and you'll notice your brain has completely changed.
You'll be like,
If you can't handle
"Wow,
that,
that's
just join the
literally what's
Self-Perfected
happening."
group on Facebook.
Exactly. And we'll
If you can't
issue
handle
in
that,
one
just
step
go
at a
buy
time.
the merch from self-perfected.com.
And find the
If you can't handle
people.
that, just like this and share this video. If you can't handle that, then just close your computer and go lay down in your bed.
What if there's somebody out there who literally doesn't do anything we're suggesting, but they just wear self-perfected shirts? Like,
Yes.
That's what's gonna be out. That's what's gonna be out.
I mean, it'd be okay if you got a shirt and because you're like new or something, but like imagine like for years they just listen to the podcast, they just
Like,
wear the
no.
merch, and they're like, I'm self-perfected, but they don't do anything we're suggesting. They don't
Like, what do you
any
think of-
process of changing nothing.
like, what do you think of like Drake? They're like, oh, he's a racist for sure. Like he's a Nazi.
Yeah, like
Mitch
oh,
is
this
totally
day
a
is so
bigot.
bad. It's so
No, it's like
they're
he
like in a
starts-
cult.
Yeah.
All right, so
that was so funny. Like, and if you can't do that, just go lay in your bed.
what do you guys
That's
want to talk about this podcast?
Oh, we're doing a podcast?
Oh, I thought we were talking about it. We were getting into it.
Yeah, no, I like this. I think this is valuable.
Yeah, Drake, what's wrong?
I
with
would listen to this.
I am listening to this right now in real
Yeah,
time.
I'm like, I'm in it.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about the Ontario stuff. Why not? Like keep it current time.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That'll I'm sure lead to other. I feel like somehow we can turn that into talking about what's best for all, maybe. Or Jess, I think you wanted to say something sensually into the mic.
Ontario, what are you doing?
Right,
Why?
right.
Why?
So
I think it's a giant experiment, and they're seeing
So-
how far they can push it. Well, everything else is opening
Yeah,
up.
what
They're like,
the
no, quick, we
fuck?
got enough fear. Let's just see how much we can max this out.
the equivalent,
Yeah.
equivalent of our state senator, right, Doug Ford. He like,
What is he
Wait,
He's
wait,
not
wait,
like
wait.
the premier or whatever.
Is that the
Yeah.
cokehead?
yeah. Oh no, sorry, that was the
That's his
brother of the
brother,
cokehead. Yeah,
His
That's
brother. Okay.
Bob
okay.
Ford. Yeah. So
okay.
Dougie, and he mentions in the
Dougie Fresh.
statement, like on video,
Dougie right now.
he like gets off in a moment of like, we have implemented the harshest restrictions in all of North America.
Like he's saying it with pride.
Yeah. And he was like, it's coming at the cost of many people's lives, but we have to curb this. Like, and he meant from the perspective of like, you have to limit your life substantially, right? He's like, but we need to do whatever it takes, kind of thing. It's like,
Dude, suicide rates in Ontario are gonna go so high this
and it
spring.
was actually really cool. There's an organization that sent a letter to a bunch of members of parliament as well as Justin Trudeau, and they're like, hey, like we have a bunch of questions that we would like the answers to. And one of them was like, okay, have you like, what are the projected suicide rates? What are the projected mental health like issues, all that stuff? It's like, and if we're expecting an answer for these, and if you can't answer them or haven't been measuring them, we take that as a blatant
problem.
disregard for like the common sense of how this would affect people, right? So just like a one
Yes.
funny point,
Good that those systems are at least in place.
right? Exactly, and so
they still implemented it.
exactly because they probably didn't. Anyways, they chose to crack down on interprovincial travel. So they limited like from a certain number of provinces, you can't travel into Ontario. And in that statement, he made it so that police have the right to pull you over or stop you when you're walking and ask, what is the purpose of you being out? And where do you live? What is your address? And if you don't, you would get fined. And they shut playgrounds, right? Among other things. And so basically all the police forces were like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And
then what did they say? And then what?
And
did
then
they
the
do
next
after?
day, they're like, "Hey guys, we're just trying to do the best we can, but we'll, you know what? We'll step back.
We've been listening to your feedback.
Yes, dude, I'm serious. They're
We
like,
read your comments.
they're like,
but doesn't
they're
that
like-
show they have no integrity whatsoever?
exactly?
'Cause otherwise, they'd be like, you know what? Fuck you. All you police
But
are
dude,
fired. We're getting
in-
new police. We're gonna send the
in
military
the-
in. This is important.
In
Yeah. They're actually serious.
in the statements, they're saying like, oh, like we're really just considering public perception. If you read the articles, it's just public perception. Like, what is the public going to think? What are the public going to think the whole time? Right.
It's
So
almost
just
like
let me
a
just let me
test.
conclude that point. The next day, they're like, yeah, okay, we took that power back away from the police, so we're not going to do that. And playgrounds are open, but you can't gather outside.
But it was
you
totally
you
our
can-
choice to do it. I mean, we
you
could have
can
made
play-
the police do it if we wanted to.
You can play at the playground, but you can't have like a soccer game. Like you can't organize yourself outside. But playgrounds are open. Police won't do that. But we're still cracking down on interprovincial travel. So that's the recent events.
It was because of your video.
That's why
Yeah,
they-
yeah, Facebook. It was a good video for those who haven't seen it. You should go check it out. It's on Astif's page. But that was a really good video. But yeah, it was interesting because somebody was like, "Oh, the police aren't going to enforce it and everything." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's all good then." Like, it's still fucking insane that they would have even said it in the first place.
It's like what we're accepting is like, oh yeah, in your face, we can go to the playground, but we can't gather socially, but the police won't stop us when we're walking outside, but we can't leave our province. It's like, fuck.
It's almost like they went too extreme, so
Yeah,
you would
to
just
the big
accept a
ass.
little bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
and
testing.
then they'll find a reason, right? But here's the thing: it's like we'll get fixated on this point of, let's go protest the lockdowns or whatever the fuck. Like, let's say they said, oh man, there's like 1 million, like the entire 60% of the population is like, okay, we, against the lockdowns. Okay, we gotta relinquish the lockdowns. Is that going to change the course of what we're going down?
No.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because this whole pandemic has made us very very nearsighted, where we're just considering, dude, like this pandemic's fucked, like how are we gonna get out of this or whatever, right? But it's like, what does that actually change if the lockdowns stop?
That's a really great point. That the point of the pandemic making us nearsighted, because it works not just for looking in the future, but also looking in the past, right? Where
Nice.
we're looking at what's going on, and all we're focused on is what's happened last week and this week, and what's going to happen next week potentially. But then we're beyond that, nobody's actually really considering.
Maybe
That's a
that's why
great
they're saying
point.
15 days to sell a spread, because they
Right.
know you can't think past 15 days.
Right.
That's a great point, because like the lockdown, the stay-at-home order got extended from 4 weeks. It's always by 4-week increments, but it got extended from 4 weeks to 6 weeks. Oh, okay. So you're always just like, like, yeah, it sucks, but
What's
like,
2 more weeks?
It's just another
Exactly.
2 weeks.
and then
Right.
after 2 weeks, you're like subconsciously, you're like, and then it's done. Okay, cool. But it's been a
but then
fucking year.
the experience of being locked down then in itself becomes the okay, like let me put it this way. It's like you get sick, you get these symptoms, right? You're like, I don't want those symptoms, that's why I don't want to get sick. The lockdowns and all these social distancing becomes the symptom of the pandemic.
That's such a great point.
So it's like we think by taking the vaccine or whatever it is, we're curing the symptoms, which is the lockdowns. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we have to get back to that. And it's like, but what about the actual getting sick part?
Yeah.
The actual part where you're dying from it? Because when you look at the numbers, it's like, it's just a bunch of fat old people. Like I saw this picture, oh my God, man, on Facebook of this woman posted. It was like her family. I think it was either her. I couldn't really tell if it was her or the husband, because she had like a mask on and everything, laying next to, with a mask, a newborn baby, saying, my newborn granddaughter, y'all, like, and everyone's like, congratulations, girl, and all this stuff. And I'm like, this child is just emerged into the world and they're looking around and everyone around them is wearing masks.
Yeah.
Like, what psychologically, it's not even a what is that going to do? We know psychologically what would happen if you just didn't let a child see your facial expressions
If you just
the
drop your
majority of the
emotion,
time.
if
Right.
you just drop your not even covering up your face, if you just drop your emotion and stop like that,
True.
full stop. A child recognizes that.
Yes.
As an infant, they recognize that and they respond like they don't like that. That they're like, where
But
are you?
It's like, imagine just the like keeping the child at a distance and like everyone being super overly paranoid around young children at the age, what that's ingraining in them, what that's teaching them, you know. It's somebody made this really cool point in this video I was watching, and they said, we, as in our generation, the people who the adults right now, have to stand up. And obviously when we say stand up, we don't mean go protest, we don't mean do riots, we don't mean do all this violent stuff. We mean stand up within yourself, let go of your limiting beliefs, what you accept and allow, your pursuit of happiness, so you can be a part of a world and stand up within politics, within the systems that we have as human beings, where we say this is the legal way we change things. Because at the end of the day, what's cool about that thing with Ontario is they put the point out, the police said, we're not enforcing it. So they said, well, okay, we're not going to do it then. So it's like they have to follow some kind of structure. You know what I mean? They can't just force you only. There has to be some structure there. And so when we say stand up, we mean a process of changing yourself, not trying to force something else to change. It's like changing yourself first.
So
And then
any
within
point
that,
of-
supporting other people to do that. But there was definitely a point I was going to make. I remember what it was.
I'll drop this real quick and we'll circle back to Drake making this still face point. And you were talking about distancing yourself from children and being overly sensitive to that. So hopefully that stimulates it enough for
Yeah,
you.
no.
But
But we were talking about standing up and so forth. And the point was, no, don't have it now.
You know, when you were talking about like
That's my favorite.
we're creating the symptoms. We're creating the symptom of what we're trying to get away from, right? And it's really interesting because who's dying of it? Fat old people, right? What are we creating more of? Fat old people, because you can't go
I
outside.
think Cameron's point was it's hard to stand up if you're fat and old.
No, but seriously, the point was if we don't stand up, the children that are growing up right now, they will have no even frame of reference that, oh, you mean like you could just like go outside whenever you wanted to?
Mhm.
Fuck, dude.
Like, what do you mean?
That's
Like,
like
I don't
school.
understand. Like, what you're saying is when you guys
That's
were
like school.
kids, you could like just go outside and you didn't have to like sign in on an app
didn't-
and say where you were
yeah.
going. Like, what
Yeah,
do
you didn't
mean?
have to check in.
So if we don't stand up, and that's why I was just clarifying, what do we mean by stand up? Because I don't want someone to misunderstand what I'm saying. But if we don't do that and we stand up, the thing exactly, right? If
Literally
we don't
just
do
not
that,
doing it.
the children are not going to do it. Because
won't.
generally speaking, they're not going to have any frame of reference. And I'm,
Yeah, they won't know how.
you know, people will be like, we used to have freedom and all this stuff. No, we didn't. This is like definitely compared to where it wants to go, but it's just a progression of towards that point.
Mhm.
So the fact that majority of people right now are not willing to stand up is the proof of what I'm saying. They don't even know what real freedom is. They think real freedom was being able to go to any store you want. It's like, that's not even real freedom, but it's a hell of a lot better than you have to like check in and sign in to go somewhere and have a vaccine passport and all this other shit. But that's why it's difficult, I think, for people to really see where we're going, what we're suggesting we create as a human race, because no one's ever experienced it. Like, we're saying a world that's best for all, and all they can imagine is like, oh, that's like, what is that, communism or something? They can't envision it. And so the fact that that's the case just shows, where are we going to be at 20 years from now when all the children have been in school or not left their homes or whatever, wearing masks and all that shit all the time. And like, let's see all the kids who are from Ontario, and it's like normal for them to like, the police stop you if you're outside. So you just don't go outside anymore. You know, like, you just don't go outside. You just don't want to do that.
You know, it's funny, when I was like leaving high school, it was like the last year for sports. After that, Like we had track and field, we had rugby, soccer, yeah, whatever. And then as we left, actually, we were known as a rugby school. And my last year, because the guys weren't taking responsibility to just get their paperwork in on time to go on a trip, there was no rugby team. It was the first time in the history of the school, because of lack of self-responsibility, there was no rugby team. And then after we left school, sports just started to fall apart and get ixnayed. And what that looks like now is, even in society, we're not allowed to have fucking sports. You can't go play soccer. You literally can't go play, like right now, if I went to the basketball court and was playing, if I just went on a walk out of my house to the basketball court, started shooting hoops, I would get fined.
What?
It's literally like
You're
Fresh
by
Prince of
yourself.
Bel-Air.
So
like
so
the
that
opening
specific point
scene.
might have been repealed, right? That specific point, but that was just what was suggested.
Yeah.
So this point that Cameron's mentioning of like, what? Like if someone told me that school once existed where like you had like 3 hours of recess and 3 hours of, classroom time, I'd be like, what the fuck? That's not school.
That's not, no, that, yeah. What
That's
are you
so
talking
silly.
about? How
Like,
can
you
you have
get-
3 hours of recess?
Exactly. Like you get 15 minutes and then 35 minutes and then 50 or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so I totally see what you're saying. What we've done is we've created school for all of society.
Oh, dude, let's take it a step further. Okay, you have the
Dude,
kids
take me
now.
2 fucking steps forward, dog. Come on, spell me up, dog.
Okay, you got school now. You sit in your cubicle.
Oh shit, dude.
You're on your computer. You're just doing online school in a school classroom. You never leave your desk. You don't leave a room for lunch. They bring the lunch to you. This is how it works for these lockdown places. Right?
Oh god, buddy.
I want you to think about this for a second. How you might think, oh, it's just to help them not get sick or something, even though when you look at even the ones they've counted as coronavirus deaths, it's like not children, right? But think about what we know. AI technology, the jobs of the future, automation. Think of the jobs that are going to exist. Jobs, not entrepreneurship type shit. I'm saying the jobs.
Yeah.
That's what they're training people for. They're training kids right now for
Oh.
that future of
Yeah.
work.
That
That's
makes
what's
more
going
sense.
Yeah, they're just essentially mining that person's attention and energy to be able to direct it towards what they're trying to build. When it just completely takes away from their livelihood. They aren't doing anything else other than just like being there. Eventually they're going to have like feeding tubes and catheters for people, so they literally don't have to move at all. And they're in the VR and they're just
Like feeders?
It's like a tube of like cricket juice that just like constantly feeds into your like.
But it's a great point. Like if there was some, on when you go to define a word in Google, and then if you hit more translation or whatever, it shows a kind of a graph of like how often that word has been used, right? It's like if there was that for the phrase, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing what I'm told. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of what you were describing in a different angle is like more and more, you just have the person who just has to take away your freedom in essence. Like, sorry, you got to put on a mask to come in the store. I'm just doing my job. I have to check your temperature. I have to do the fucking whatever it is. It's like you're programming that Nazi symbol into them, right?
Yeah.
Why do we have a society of people who just need to do a job, and therefore they can't make any decisions based on what's actually best because they just have to do a job? It's like, well, that we put them in school and fuck them over intellectually so that they couldn't do anything else. Because if I would never say that, like, well, sorry, I have to do my job. Like, what job do I have to do that requires you to wear a mask?
What job do you have to do where you have to literally apologize for doing your job?
Oh, that was so funny, by the way, Asif, when you were sharing that website where it was like the human rights thing.
Uh-huh.
What was it? I forget what was the.
It's the Canadian Constitution, basically.
Okay, yeah. So it's like whatever your rights and the formation of
Rights and
government.
freedoms. Yeah.
But like rights and freedoms, yeah. But it was like a page not found.
Yeah.
But it literally said, "We're sorry," and I was like, "That is the most fucking Canadian web page I've ever seen." Like, we can't even show you your human rights. Like, we're sorry. We're so sorry. We couldn't show you your rights. But like, it's like, holy shit, man.
It's like, why is that page being tampered with? But the first thing that popped in my head is like, you know, in 1984, how they go back and switch the historical documents so that when
Yeah.
you go back, you're like, oh, I guess they are entitled.
Like, what are you
to
talking about? Rights? You don't know rights.
It's all about
Yeah.
lefts now. It's all about the left.
Yesterday-
Oh,
When did you have
it's all about the
rights?
left. It's all about the
Yesterday.
left now,
Oh my god.
Spells.
Among Us.
right? The alt right, right is evil. Oh shit, dude.
What you just brought up with 1984, it's like it's so relevant to what we're talking about, because they go and they start erasing all the language. Like they edit the dictionary, right? They edit the news, they edit everything, where
Oh
they
man,
change
if you go, a great example of that is I looked up the word racism like a year ago when I was like, somebody was telling me what racism was. I was like, look at the fucking definition. And now that's like the sub definition.
yeah.
Right.
And if you look at it now, it's like it depends on the membership to your group. It's like, what? What does
Ridiculous.
membership have to do with racism?
It's prejudice plus power, and
Yeah.
it's like structural and all this stuff. I'm like, you have to have a fucking degree in like postmodern philosophy to understand the definition.
Exactly.
But the
Great.
point I was making was just that they're turning it, well, in 1984, they basically edit out all of these words so that you can't even think in creative ways anymore. You
Mm.
can't even think as an individual. You can't even think past what you've been given. And to match it up with what Cam was saying earlier about when you're born into a society where these are already the rules set in place, you're not even considering what it could have been like before.
Yeah.
Right. So look at where we're heading and how much we've changed just in 1 year. Right. Like I remember when I was a kid, I could remember like historical events that were happening, like 9/11, right? I remember what was going on that day and how people were responding. But I worked with a lot of kids. Like I used to go to the site and everything with a bunch of kids and share with them what happened there. They weren't even born. They had no, like I could see with the adults, there was, and the reason why I'm making this point, with the adults, there was like a visceral connection, like, oh, this I can remember, and you know, this is so important. For the kids, they're like, don't give a fuck. It has no meaning to me. And so where I'm going with this is, if we don't stand up now, it will mean nothing to the children that are coming up.
Yeah, so true.
They will have no incentive, because to them, they're not losing anything.
True.
It was never there for them, you know? And so it's a really
Perfect example is how much depression exists right now in our society. But we all take that for granted. We
It's like
take that for
Everybody's
granted.
fucking depressed.
You're
We
not,
think
you're
that's
like not
normal.
cool. You're like not cool if you're not depressed.
Right.
If you're, I remember experiencing this. Like, if you're happy, people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like,
dude.
why are you so weird?"
Yeah.
Or if you're serious
People
about
always
things.
ask me if I'm drunk or high in college, when
Right.
in reality I was just I was happy.
Expressive. Like, we're just going, yeah. What are you
Right.
gonna say, Cameron?
I don't know.
Yeah. Just forget
So
it.
yesterday it was
Oh,
so
shit.
cool. I walk into a T-Mobile store to get a new screen protector put on my phone. And I just walk in, no mask. And the employee was like, "You have to wear a mask." And I was like, "What was that?"
Library.
You're like,
I was like, "What was that?"
hear what you're saying. If you wear mask, I can't understand you.
Dude, how are you so good at that?
That is so good. That is so good.
But yeah, it's like imagine like if you like read lips and you can't.
It's true.
You need to
Yeah.
have like a clear cutout on
We'll
your
do that
lips.
next time, guys.
So
do that.
he then I was just
Dude,
like,
that oh my god, that's brilliant. Actually do that.
Have you
I don't know what you're saying.
It seems like
You just like do this and they think you're doing sign language.
"I don't know what you're saying."
I don't know what you're saying to me when you drop mask on your mouth.
I don't know what you have to take your mask off.
You have to breathe in my ear for
I
me
have
to
to-
hear you.
I have to read your lips.
We are so getting canceled. We are so fuck.
That
yeah.
was. Oh my god.
But does anyone
Anyways.
even, hold on, but does anyone even think about that?
No. So I asked, so he said that, and I was like, "What was that?" And he said, "Oh, you have to wear a mask to be in this store? And I just was like, oh, okay. I need a new screen protector put on my phone. Here is my credit card and here is my phone number. I'll wait outside then, and he's like, okay.
Yeah,
And-
people
and
glitch
so
out.
he
People
took my
glitch out, for
stuff.
sure.
He took my stuff, right? And I'm just chilling outside, waiting for him to do his thing. And there's a guy who's wanting to go into the store, and he's just sitting there with his bike and his like scarf of a mask, and he's like, oh, is there a lot of people? Excuse me. He's like, oh, is there a lot of people in the store? Is there a line in there? I'm like, no, I just don't wear a mask. And he said, well, why don't you wear a mask? And I said, because there's no science that says they do anything. And he's like, well, where are you getting this science? Like, what are you? And this conversation progressed to the point where at the end, he's literally right before he is going to go in the store. He's like, oh shit, I forgot why I was here.
It's like, bro, I think you're oxygen deprived.
and then he said, I guess I'm just gonna have to go and I'll come back another day before I
What?
leave. And then he says, before I leave, I'm just gonna grab a drink of my soda. He reaches into his bag, grabs a Diet Coke, opens it, takes his mask off. He said he takes a drink, and I said, that Diet Coke is gonna kill you before the COVID will. He's like, oh no, I drink 6 of these a day. I decided, I might as well enjoy dying, but I'm not gonna get the COVID because I got vaccinated. I still wear my mask just in case. It's what I do for other people.
When he's
It's not what I
outside
do for
biking, he's
myself.
wearing his mask.
And it just like his line of logic was just
his line of
insane.
logic was not there.
It was
And then he
crazy.
goes. So I stepped out because I'm like, this guy's got a backpack. I'm just gonna like, just be here. And he goes, because he
Just
goes,
like-
well, yeah, like he's like, I
We have a
I wear
problem?
the mask because I got nieces and nephews,
Grandkids, yeah.
and I care about them. I'm like, have you looked into the psychological implication of what that's doing to your grandkids? Because you can look at the CDC numbers and it doesn't affect kids. And he just is like does not process at
He's
all.
like,
And then
why would I look at the CDC website when I can just go to CNN?
exactly? That was like
Why, when I could just go to the marketing agency of the pharmaceutical companies that want me to buy the vaccine? Why would I look at the actual information?
I can't.
Why
even
wouldn't I
read
just
anyway.
take their manipulative propaganda? And why wouldn't I just take that at face value? I don't understand. It makes me feel good.
Man, that is wow. That is really impressive how little information you have to be able to handle at one time to be like, okay, health looks like this, but now it looks like this thing that's in direct conflict. Like imagine somebody who was just the simplicity, forget about the pandemic, just somebody throwing back 6 Diet Cokes a day and biking.
with the mask on.
Like
And-
he's a
and it's
living
even that one-
juxtaposition.
Okay, remember when they were pushing the masks and they're like, you have to have a certain type of mask because the COVID can get
Right.
through those ones if it's just a bandana.
Dude, but I just recently saw it says don't worry about wearing the surgical mask. You need to save those for the medical people. And this was a CDC thing saying this.
Hey,
I'm
on
like,
They just flip it.
what?
I looked at this. So there's standardized flyer for all businesses, like mask required. It says mask or face covering required, and then with an asterisk beside face covering. Face covering includes a bandana, scarf, whatever. I'm like,
Banana.
bandana.
What about a banana?
Meh, you could probably. And
What if you're
as having a
dyslexic and you're like, I thought you wanted me to wear a banana?
Have a banana.
I can't read.
You just have it
Hatred
like tied to your
against
ears.
dyslexics.
And it's like hanging down in front of your mouth.
Yo, isn't that
Violence against
signage?
dyslexics.
Isn't that signage racist if it requires people to read?
Called ableism. Asif.
Oh fuck, dude! For blind people too. Where's the braille signs? Maybe there is braille signs. Okay, so
Doubt it.
I was talking to somebody
There's a
earlier.
braille sign, but there's like a bottle of hand sanitizer right next to it. So you have to like wash your hands first before you like.
But you have to like understand that it's there.
And so there's a braille sign for
It
that.
says please
Braille
sanitize
sign
before
for-
reading this, and you're like, oh fuck.
I was talking
Okay,
to
deaf
somebody,
people. Okay, blind people. Okay, who else?
and they were just mentioning how with I fucking forgot. Give me 1 minute. Give me
I
a
forgot
countdown.
what I wasn't planning to say.
Exactly. I forgot the bullshit that I was gonna make up as I forgot earlier about what I was gonna say, and I was using this to fill the space.
Why is it that we want to talk about all this stuff though? It's like
Oh,
just
no point.
pointing
Just
out the
talk about
absurdity
problems.
of everything, huh?
Yeah, just talk about the problems. We don't actually have a solution.
It's all
No, but I mean, it's like, and people will say, well, you shouldn't focus on problems. You should focus on the solution. It's like, well, we're talking about the solution.
Yeah, and the only reason you wouldn't go after the solution is because the problem's not clear to you.
Yeah, and also it's like, well, but you can't actually solve the problem. It's like, well, then we got to talk about
Right.
the problem more because you don't understand it.
So
But none of this would be possible if people could process information, if they weren't educated to be retarded. And who's has ultimately the, it's not about the blame, but the responsibility is the parents. If the parents are uneducated and don't have the right tools to get educated, then they're not going to be able to take that responsibility. And so I think sometimes people think we're like blaming parents. It's not blaming them because we understand they don't have the education to do it. But that's
like-
why
it's like when
our
you
life
say, like-
purpose is to support them to do that.
it's like when you say, it's my parents' fault that I'm like this. It's like, obviously you have to be clear within saying that, but it's not to say like they are the literal cause, direct cause, because they were responsible for your environment and what you were exposed to. But it's not that therefore they're evil from the perspective of like they did it on purpose because they wanted to harm you consciously. It's like, no, they just got programmed. But real quick, before we go down this path, the point that I wanted to mention before was I was talking to somebody earlier today and they were mentioning it's like, it's not even necessarily that it has to be a good quality mask. It just needs to be your face just needs to be covered. It's a symbol.
Yeah, I was about to say,
It just
guys,
needs
it's
to be
literally
symbolized.
just a symbol. You don't need to worry about what it's made of. Come on.
It's a symbol, right? It's like he was talking about how his friend went in with a fucking paper towel over their face. They just put a paper towel over their face. But the point is, people just need to see that this is what's accessible as information for them to enter into their eyeballs. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Look, no Islamophobia or anything, guys, but it's kind of like they're making us all wear like hijabs and stuff, or not hijabs. I don't know what the one
yeah,
where
that
they,
guy actually
do
said
they have one
hijab.
where they cover their face. I'm assuming they do.
Oh my, that guy, the 6 Diet Coke guy, he goes, well, they do this in the Middle East all the time and they're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
They live in a desert, bro.
From age 16 on, they always cover their mouths. They're perfectly fine. They're not oxygen deprived. They can breathe. So
Yeah.
you can too.
and that's
Do
where I
it
was
for
like,
the
yep,
other
we
people.
are done with this.
Uh,
conversation. This guy
Have
is
you ever
done.
seen the global IQ charts, my friend?
Mm.
You're kind of proving my point.
Mm.
Uh-oh.
You know what's interesting about that is that somebody was making this point because we were talking about how one day they say you have to wear this specific mask, then the next day they say it doesn't matter what mask you wear. Somebody was making this point that it's as if they're purposely giving us conflicting information because they'll even do it in the same day. The same person will give us this conflicting information of wear 2 masks. No, it doesn't really matter if you wear a mask at all. All of this coming from the same person within a short span, right? And it's at a certain point, you got to go, wait a minute. You're always fucking wrong. You always change your fucking mind. But yet nobody wants to take that responsibility. Everyone's just like, well, all the science backs them up. And if they change it again, they back that up. Like the people themselves, they take it on and they go, well, we didn't know then what we know now. It's like, you don't want to take
Right. And they'll say
responsibility.
like, it's a constant learning process. And you're like, hold on. I thought it was like, you're doing it based on science and I can't question it because it's real. But now when you make a mistake, you're using the excuse that, well, it's a learning process and we're always constantly improving our models and everything. It's like, so you don't know.
Right. So if you don't fucking know, shut the fuck up. You don't know. Like, why not just continue on with life? You know what I mean?
And not, it's like, okay, we're not saying everyone should just go on and do whatever they want to do. And we shouldn't think about problems or anything like that. But
right after he says, I know it sounds like we're only talking about problems and we're not talking about
right. But my point is, you're not, what happens is somebody in a position of influence.
Mhm.
Okay, I won't even say power because it's not about power, it's about influence. Someone in a position to influence says you need to focus on this and do something because of it. And then without really actually, first of all, checking to see, was I reacting when they presented the problem? And then I made the decision emotionally to act from an emotional perspective. You didn't even check that. You just assumed it was all good. And it's like imagine, okay, everybody goes to school, and I don't know what happened to Asif. Rest in peace. But everybody goes to school, right? Most
Rest in
people.
power, Asif.
Most people rest in
Influence.
Reese's Pieces. Everybody goes to school. You go to school. Everyone fucking hates school. Now, some people like school. I know, mostly like girls that are like teachers.
Oh, there's someone on my Facebook page that is a school bumper. Just loves it.
Love school.
Loves school so much.
I just
They
love
became-
going to school every day.
They became, oh, no, I'm done going to school, but I went to school to be out of school every day.
And
You're like a
run
professor or a teacher or something.
principal.
Oh yeah,
That guy.
Mr. Principal Man. Look at me. School worked for me. I'm the principal. It's like, can everybody be the principal? It didn't work for anybody else. Prison worked for me because I became the warden.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
I'm sure he's watching this.
No,
Enjoy.
But so I was saying something.
You know how everybody went to
Power and
school?
influence.
Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, the influence part. Everybody went to school, and everyone knows school's a bunch of bullshit. Like, it's just a bunch of bullshit that they're telling you, and you try to memorize it, you take your test, you don't really give a shit. There may be people who go to school and then they also study a lot outside of school, and that's cool. But generally speaking, school is just a bunch of bullshit. And now imagine you have all these adults who are like justifying everything happening in the world, pandemic, etc., all this kind of shit, based on their understanding of the world from what they learned in school. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, what person after school was out, like, kept studying science?
Mhm.
That's not like a scientist.
Right.
And if you say, well, but look, the scientist did it. Yeah, but you aren't studying it, so you don't know what they know. 10 years ago, if you had asked the average liberal person on the left, do you trust corporations? What would they say?
No.
They'd be like, fuck no, they're corrupt, all this shit. Now, if you ask them, maybe you wouldn't ask it in that way, but their behavior is in a way where it's like they implicitly trust the government, the corporations, people in power, all of that. What you're taught in school.
Yep.
the doctors,
Facebook, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson.
CNN.
It's like, hold on, guys. We live in a capitalist society. Capitalism has created all this shit, and you're saying we should trust all of it. Science is capitalist. Like, science and capitalism are one and the same.
Oh shit, dude.
Where do the scientists get the money to do their research?
Oh shit.
Cameron,
Yes.
you're gonna get us deplatformed this episode.
Did y'all watch that Barricade Garage where he was talking about that?
What?
Oh, this is a cool point, actually. I was telling Kate about this. I was thinking about all the people I listen to on YouTube, and I don't listen to a lot of people on YouTube as much as I used to, especially since, they got rid of Alex Jones and all these people. But Alex Jones and Owen Benjamin, man, they're gone. So my daily neo-Nazi feed, I just don't have it anymore. Right? No, but I was looking at it. I'm like, the vast majority of the YouTubers I listen to now on a regular basis are Black.
Yeah.
And I only realized that
Success.
because the Barricade Garage guy made this point that he got like these emails from like basically white people that follow him that were like, it's not fair. You can say stuff we can't say.
Yes, I
And
watched.
he was
that.
like,
It was crazy.
you can say it too. You can say whatever you want. You're censoring yourself because
Mhm.
in the context of who he was referring to, it's like people wanting to make money off of ad revenue and shit like that. He was making this kind of statement of like, you're just a merchant, like meaning all you're looking for is the money. So you don't want to say things that will offend followers and so forth. So you look at someone like a LeBron James, they just want to keep their paycheck. And I'm not saying he's just purposely deceiving people. It's like, did y'all watch that Candace Owens thing I sent with
Yeah,
Adam
yeah, yeah.
Carolla? And she
Yeah.
made this really good point. Like he's probably very, I mean, he is very uneducated. He's just here. People around him are giving him information. He's taking that in. He's repeating whatever he's shown.
I remember showing up for like it was a short film and a commercial, and I was just like, what are the lines? Give them to me. Okay, I gotta say it. How do you want me to deliver it? Okay, got it.
Right.
That's what it is, right?
Right.
It's
You
like,
just want to get a paycheck. You're just doing your job. That's the name of this episode. I'm just doing my job.
so consider it from that point, right? It's
Go to a modeling job and you got to be half naked. Oh, I'm getting paid. Sounds
Drake,
good.
Like the Nazi guy in the tower on the concentration camp, like shooting the gun, going, "I'm just doing my job."
Drake, as the thumbnail, put Cameron like this, like the deaf person impression, and it's just I'm just doing my job.
You know what's funny is that by the time they get to this part of the podcast,
sorry.
they already know what the title is.
yeah. But they get to see how we
if we could
discover
get
it.
somebody to edit the picture we have on there with like a mask on, that would be so funny.
Oh, and then we should go back and edit all of them. So that when people look back, they'll be like, "No, the thumbnail doesn't have mask." Oh, did they always have masks? I guess I'm crazy.
We were always
Dude,
at war with East Asia.
That's gaslighting.
Yeah.
That's gaslighting. Okay,
Is
wait.
that gaslighting?
Yeah, when you make somebody question their
Are you
sanity.
gaslighting me right now about what gaslighting is?
Wait,
Dude, you're being crazy. Oh shit, dude. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to gaslight you, bro.
what is going
Okay, wait. Okay, let me
Either gaslighting or mansplaining.
Fuck, I'm doing both. Double whammy. Is there like
Double
negative
whammy.
points? Okay. I'm just doing my job point. What is that saying? It's saying I just want to get paid. And I'm just doing whatever I'm told. It's like
Oh, dude,
mm,
a picture
that's why I
of
said it.
George Floyd. No, not George Floyd. The other guy, the cop guy,
Derek
kneeling
Chauvin.
on George Floyd, and as a bubble that says, "I'm just doing my job."
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a shirt.
Chauvin. Yep.
Fuck. Fuck.
Wait. Just George Floyd, and then I'm just doing my
No,
job?
no.
Chauvin with his knee on his neck.
Guys.
That's
or the
fucking-
Asian guy.
That's
Or the
fucking
Asian guy
hard.
blocking everybody.
Or no, that same
Oh.
screenshot. It says typical male chauvinist.
Interesting last name, isn't it?
So okay, I don't want to get spelly balls, blue balls spells.
Oh, blue balls.
Hold it.
Drop
for just
that
a
the other
little bit
week. I
longer.
was like,
Hold it
damn.
for
This
just a
is
little bit
important.
longer.
No, I can't.
I was just considering this point, right?
Oh damn it! He's actually being honest.
Because I was reading this book. Such a great book, by the way, Diamond Age, right? And I just finally got to the end, and I love this book. It's amazing, right? And I'm not gonna do any spoilers at all for the book, but it was making me.
But the guy dies at the end. No,
Damn it! Damn it, Asif! But it
It's like,
really
you never
made-
have to worry about spoiling a book because no one reads. But go ahead.
It's really making me consider this point of creation, right? Of preparing, right? Like
wait, which one? Creation or preparing?
well, both.
Prepping.
Well, I'm prepping you for what I'm about to say. There you go. Prepping you for my creation.
He's a
Ready?
prepper.
Shit, dude, nice.
Because there's a point in this book, something called an illustrated primer. It's on the cover, so I'm not giving any spoilers, right? Right. And so I was using my TechnoTutor and realizing that's like my illustrated primer. You'll get
Dude, that's why I recommended that book from the beginning. It's
Yeah.
literally describing TechnoTutor. Yeah.
exactly. It's fucking amazing, right? And when I got up this morning, so I put that into my TechnoTutor last night, right? I got up this morning and I was kind of practicing that and saying like, oh, Drake is prepared for the day. Drake woke up prepared for the day, right? And then looking at the word prepared, what does prepared actually mean, right? And just looking at the definitions of prepared, I felt like, oh, being prepared, the way that I was considering it was just being ready, right? But all the definitions of prepared and of prepare say to make ready, right?
Yeah.
To-
It was an emotional definition that you had.
Yeah. Like it's a slight distinction there, right? But it's such a distinction because being ready versus make ready, or training, or educating, or being equipped for. And I realized, holy fuck, I've never been prepared in my life. Not once. I've never been prepared for anything. What was I trained for? What was I educated for? What function, what purpose, right? And realizing, oh, what should I be preparing for? Like, okay, so if I'm actually wanting to do what's best for all, how can I actually be prepared? And so what do I have to do? How am I going to equip myself? What training, what purpose, what function? All of that needs to be considered, which is, again, going back to the first principle, considering from the perspective of all people, plants, animals, right? It's doing what's best for all and putting yourself in that position, considering everything. It takes so much more. You have to be, you have to understand so many things in order to do that. You cannot be ignorant and do what's best for all, right? But back to seeing this point for myself of like, if I were an actual creator, like realizing that I've never been prepared for anything, that means that I've just been going along with whatever's been presented to me all the fucking time. I've just been milling about. Even when I think that I'm doing something, even when I think I have a purpose and I love life or whatever, I've just been milling about.
Wow.
And if an actual creator, what does an actual creator do? Like, imagine you're the creator of this universe. You're the creator of this world. You're God in the sense that most people think of God, right? Imagine you're that creator, the one who's like, okay, I'm going to put this here, this here, this here. You're planning the entire time. Planning is another definition of prepare, right? And so you're planning systematically is actually the definition. Planning systematically, right? And in united effort, right? So you're planning every single aspect. You're constantly planning. You're constantly getting up and going, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then tomorrow I'm going to do this, and then you get up the next day and you're like, okay, so I did these things. I want to see how this is going. You're actually curious about it. You're actually like if you're actually creating something, you're the influence on it. You're not just the influence, but you're looking at it in a way of, I'm doing this. I want to try out this, as opposed to just letting it sort of run its course, or letting something run you, where you're getting up and you have no idea what you're going to do today. You have no idea what you're going to do tomorrow. You have no idea why you've like lived the life that you've lived. And you're like, that's literally what I was living, was just, okay, this is what life is.
A good analogy of that is like planting a garden and not having prepped the soil, not having figured out what plants work well next to each other, not having created a fence around it or anything. So first of all, you had no preparation ahead of time, but then you just go and you randomly throw seeds around. You don't even dig holes. You don't do any of that. And you just throw the seeds around. You say, oh, I'll put a little water on top and call her good. And then you go the next day and you don't even think about the garden. You don't go to check on it, nothing. About 2 days go by and you're like, oh, I put seeds on that soil. Well, I better put a little more water on top. And you just go over there and you take a bucket, you fill it with water, and you just throw all the water on top. Oh, there you go. And you just do that for the next 5 weeks. And you're like, why is there no plants coming up?
And you might get even lucky. Like every once in a while, some person might get lucky and something sprouts, and they're like, this is how you do it. You just fucking throw the seeds on the ground and just scatter them, and just, you dump water on it every once in a while, and it happens.
That reminds me of this story I heard from this guy, like Jesus or something, right? Where he was talking about.
What was his last name?
Christe?
What?
Who is this Jesus man?
And he talked about sowing seeds on a rocky path, instead of actually putting them into the soil and so forth.
What?
You know, think about that statement we have. I think it was like two or three ago where we called it "Prepare to Die," right? Which is like kind of a funny title because it's like "Prepare to Die," you know. But what does it mean to prepare to die? It's like you know you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna die. What are most people spending their lives doing?
Trying to avoid the fact.
Yeah, they're not
They're
preparing.
not preparing. They're
They're
not
not
preparing. Oh fuck.
So since they're not, isn't though there a system that systematically is guiding their life in a certain way while they're here, that their life individually doesn't amount to anything, but it plays a part in the system continuing?
Mhm.
You see, so you're not preparing to die in the sense that you're doing something with the life you have to make the world best for all. Instead, you're just being a pawn of the system and it's using you because it is systematic.
Yeah.
It's got a place for you. It's got a job for you. If you just fit in, and then you're totally distracted by your pursuit of happiness, which is a total scam. I'm sure we talked about that before,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But it's a total scam.
Have we talked about principles yet?
Have we talked about destiny?
Have we talked about self-perfected?
Does anybody, Drake? I heard you mentioned TechnoTutor. Do you use that for yourself too? Because I was thinking, I didn't want to cut you off. But I'm like, dude, I use that shit too. That's crazy.
You use that shit? Oh
Yeah,
shit.
I swear, I'm not even kidding. I
We have a
swear.
lot in common, man.
Damn.
Man, how did we meet? This is crazy. This is insane.
We were at the playground yesterday,
Tinder?
right?
No.
We were at the playground and there are these kids running around and Max goes up to this girl. She's like 6 years old. And every kid he meets, he's like, "Do you go to school?" Every kid. He's like, "Do you go to school?" And
He'll be
usually
able to
they're
just
like-
tell.
usually they're like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, school is really not best. You shouldn't go to school." And he's like, "I use something, it's a vocabulary builder. It's called TechnoTutor. And really, it only takes me like maybe 2 or 5 minutes every day, but I use it every day and I'm really smart and I don't go to school." That's like, he's got like this elevator pitch that he created himself that he says
So
every
cool.
kid that he meets.
That's so cool.
It's incredible. And
Amazing.
all I had to do was explain to him, "Hey, if you're talking to kids, you can tell them about TechnoTutor." And then he like goes and he just talks to people. It's amazing.
Wow.
Wow.
That is
Max is going to
amazing.
be the #1 salesman of
Ma-
TechnoTutor.
Imagine they're like, "Hey, why are you saying such things?" And he's like, "I'm just doing my job." Because like, how do we perceive job? It's like the thing you get paid for, rather than the word responsibility. It's a social force that binds you to a course of action. It's like, why isn't that your job? The thing that you feel like compelled to do, but it's based off money, right? You know what I'm saying? If you look up the definition of responsibility in TechnoTutor, it's the social force that binds you to a course of action. So it's like, is it not your job or your task, right? To do what fucking makes sense, that
Yeah.
everybody would get the most benefit from.
If you gave everybody a basic income, what's the objection to that?
Nobody would do
People
anything.
won't do anything. Yeah, exactly.
But what if you gave them a basic income as it's your responsibility to do what's best and educate yourself and so forth?
Therefore, you get the money.
Yeah.
So then would it be conditional then?
It's unconditional from the perspective that if a person refuses, you don't force them to do it. But it's like you would support them. You would help them understand. You would spend the time to help them understand this is why you need to do it. This is
Mhm.
why you're getting a basic income, is so that you can live here in reality and have everything you need. And you need to educate yourself. And I mean, obviously, if you had effective parents, they would be the ones doing it. So it's after a few generations, you wouldn't have to even explain it.
Dude, that'd be so cool because then that would be your job. That's why you're getting the basic
Exactly,
income to go over and
exactly.
talk to
The
that
re-
person.
The reason why people are doing everything they're doing now is because they get paid to do it. So just pay them to do
But that
it.
was my whole point. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't, someone goes to their job and they're like, well, you shouldn't pay your employees. And you're like, what? Why should? Because if you just pay them, they won't do anything. Just be lazy. Like, why would they be lazy? I'm paying them to do
That's
it.
so true. Dude,
Well,
we
where'd you
solved
get
it.
the money from? You would just tax everybody? Just gonna tax everybody? Just tax all the rich people and they won't want to do anything? It's like, where did they get $3 trillion fucking dollars out of thin air?
Yeah.
I heard Biden gave away like 90% of like the money for that they were supposed to give to the people to like Egypt for like gender studies. Or somebody was telling me on the phone. they're like,
90%.
yeah,
90%
He gave,
is a
he
little
gave
high.
Egypt like $2 trillion for gender studies.
No, but like he said, like a bunch of other countries rather than like, you know, what they could have received. But that point of
What if your computer identified as non-binary?
wouldn't work very
It
well.
wouldn't.
You go to click on Facebook, it opens Facebook. You go to click on Facebook, it opens Twitter. You go to click on Facebook, it formats your hard drive. Just unpredictable. Sorry, I was feeling pretty two-spirited today. But
What if computers evolved to the point where they wanted to transfer their consciousness into human bodies? Think about that one.
we already have? Aren't we getting Windows?
Like imagine like we
Add
transfer our
tick, tick,
consciousness
tick.
into robots, then at some point we just become robots, and then we're like, we should develop like these organic bodies and like transfer our consciousness because like machines are so limited. So take that, Kurzweil. So yeah, where did Mitch go?
So he died.
He
He went back to school
He's scattering seeds upon a rock.
and throwing buckets of water on them. So in that point,
throwing food at the dog.
I'm just doing my job.
He's throwing
right?
the scraps from the table, just like in Jesus's parable.
I'm gonna speak now.
Okay. We'll hear you.
No, we'll see. Oh, Mitchie's back. He's back there.
He's like trying to slide in.
He's trying to slip in the DMs.
Damn, you grew that apple. All that was quick.
Shit, dude, that was impressive. You went out there and grew that all by yourself. Wow. Okay,
He's just doing it.
hear me out. Hear me out, homies. Minor point is
Point of order.
yeah. Minor. Third priority is well, it's actually the first priority, but because I'm doing it in reverse. I'm doing it first, but I'm going in reverse order.
So does that mean it's the most important one or the one you do first?
Priority means the one you do prior to, and I'm going in least important to most important.
What's your number one priority?
Death.
How do you do the number one thing prior to something else?
Damn it. Fuck. I gotta kill myself before I tell you guys this.
Okay.
Okay, we'll wait.
I'll never forget that.
Death, not death.
Desk. I was saying desk. Desk.
All right, go, Acid.
Okay.
You don't mime the words. You actually have to say some words, Jess. She's like,
Yeah, she wasn't trying to get it out.
dude, I want to go to a store now. The
This
problem
is
is
what
everything's
happens
open
when
in
I
Texas.
step out to take Teddy on a 5-minute walk. You guys just
Dude,
like-
there,
and like a glitch.
You have no idea.
oh my god. Dude. Like I don't even think we're recording right now. Fuck. So that person who says I'm just doing their job, they're just literally saying I'm just doing this because of money.
Yeah. I'm literally a slave.
Yeah. And then they'll be like, yeah, but aren't you just like, why are you trying to make money off of education? Or why are you trying to make money like making
You
a
guys are just in
difference
it for
the
the money. It's like
It's like you're doing it for money and you're not making a difference.
your whole life is dictated by money and you're not
Yeah.
happy and you have no purpose. So what the fuck?
So just do the same thing, but be happy and have purpose. Like, you know what I mean?
so crazy.
So that's one smack dabber. And and relating it back to the whole clinical trial thing, it's like, aren't they just doing it for the money too? So how are they any
Seriously.
different from the fucking person in front, just like taking your little temperature to?
Oh,
like-
on that
The
point,
difference is because
No,
one of
but
them
it's
is manipulating
free,
your
guys. It's
DNA.
But it's free.
yeah.
that I was just reading up on Merck and Vioxx again, right?
Oh boy.
And
Vioxx?
yeah, Vioxx was this drug that they'd put out, and it was supposed to be, I think, for arthritis, but it ended up causing significantly more heart attacks than the next leading competitor, right?
For heart
And-
attack producing medication.
Yeah, heart attack producing medication. Exactly.
we're second to fucking some poison. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Scary movies that produce heart attacks.
So when they did their study,
we're second only to scary movies. That's funny.
pretty good.
The placebo was watching scary movies.
So
Jess's $5,000 thing she got paid for 15 days was to just watch scary movies on repeat.
to be the control.
That's like the control group. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it didn't produce any more than the control group, and it's like literally people like getting in car accidents and like freaking out and shit like that.
Getting a heart attack.
Like, ah,
So
Dad, I'm gay. Oh!
so when they started doing the studies, right, to find out, like, to get it approved by the FDA, right, they fudged their numbers. Like Vioxx was in control of, Merck was in control of the studies for Vioxx. And what they did, actually, it's so funny that you said that, because they did.
Allegedly.
No, this has been in court, right?
No, Drake, you're claiming this.
This is what the FDA guy who
Sounds like a
testified
conspiracy
against them said. Okay.
Drake is claiming that the FDA guy allegedly tested. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So
You're getting fact checked right now.
good.
You guys ever read like a fact check thing and it just keeps saying what the person said over and over again? Just claim.
And at the end of it, it's like, yes, he's correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because it said fact check, it made it seem wrong.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So then basically Vioxx, what they did with Vioxx was, instead of comparing it to a control group of how many people would get heart attacks without this
Scary
medication,
movies, yeah.
they compared it to this completely non-relevant drug like Aleve or something like that, and said it was better at reducing arthritis than Aleve, but had nothing to do. They just completely just brushed under the heart attack numbers under the rug, right? When they eventually had to go to court for, hey, your drug obviously is creating more heart attacks. It's not safer than the drugs that are currently out on the market, right? And it doesn't do any better. When the FDA guy testified against them, he was saying, look, by their own numbers, by their own test that they did, not a third party test, but by their own tests, their own numbers, it shows that because they were trying to say, oh, only like 50,000 people were affected by this, maybe 20,000 people died, 25,000, somewhere around there. And the FDA guy was like,
If a person did that, they would call them a mass murderer.
right. They were saying, by their own numbers, their test numbers, if you take that sample size and extrapolate it on the population that actually had access to their drugs, they've killed tens of thousands, not just 20,000 people, not just 50,000 people. He's like, it's in the hundreds of thousands of people. And he said it was the equivalent of, like, just so you have an idea of what that would look like. That's like a small town here, small town there, right? But if you were to say a jumbo jet, like Airbus, I don't know, 321, whatever they're called, right? You take it like a big fucking plane, right? And that plane goes down. He said it would be the equivalent of that happening 4 or 5 times a week for the next 5 years. Like, if one of those planes would go down, we would be like, yo, big deal.
Sure.
What's going on with that airliner? If 2 planes went down in the same week, we'd shut down that air like we did with Boeing, right? Hey, you guys have to stop. Like, something's going on. This plane is not working.
Mhm.
4 or 5 every fucking week for 5 years. 5 years.
And how would they even know if the person died because, what I'm trying to say? Meaning if someone actually later died from a heart attack, they would just assume, well, they just had a heart attack or whatever.
Like, there's only certain
They'd be like, that's normal.
There's only certain counties that give like autopsies for free or something like that.
I don't know.
I'll do it for free.
And now, why wasn't this spread everywhere? Like on CNN, they got the death count and all this other, all these news channels. Well, guess who pays for advertising space on these news networks?
Right. But the point is,
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. Sorry. Wait. The people who are dying is because they have pre-existing conditions. People are unhealthy. They're taking like literally 5 drugs for the side effects of the drugs that they're taking and so forth. Remember what Kevin Trudeau said in his newsletter?
Mhm.
He was like, this is all a big cover up of the fact that people are really fucking unhealthy.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, imagine you have all these people who are going to die from all these problems and you don't want that to become an issue. So you're like, let's just put them all under this umbrella and be like, oh, it was this fucking virus thing that did that. And who is promoting it? The reason I brought it up is who is promoting it the heaviest is the media companies that are getting all of their advertising money from, or not all of it, but a large portion of it from these drug companies.
Yeah, that
Back
makes
to
sense.
you,
Zero
Drake.
point. 0 point.
Yeah. Did anybody die of COVID that had 0 underlying conditions?
Well, back it up a second.
Dude.
Did anybody die of COVID? Question mark.
Because the way they're documenting what's a COVID death is very flexible.
I'm like riding my motorcycle. I sneeze. I fucking flip over my bike and like die. And they're like, oh man,
If you would have never seen
sad.
Oh, COVID is taking you out, man. That sucks. Another COVID death. Biden's like, when your husband flipped over that motorcycle, and he killed himself. COVID is the one who now left you with an empty seat.
He's like, I look around at all the kitchen tables with an empty seat with no motorcycle in it. You're like,
That's because of Trump.
that's
Or
because of Trump,
coronavirus. One of
Trump
them.
19.
Those sentences are too good for a Biden sentence. It's a sentence like when I look at the
When I was a little brown boy,
whatever
Cordoba virus.
You know the thing.
The thing.
the thing,
Just
you
wait
know.
while I trip up the stairs. Just wait while everyone watches me the next time to make sure I don't trip up the stairs.
But
You know
the
what's
point
funny
is,
though? Oh, go
like
ahead.
these are the companies that are making those claims. They're the ones who are saying, no, this is safe. No, of course you can trust us, right? And
Hold on, they're the same companies that for the past 4 years told us Trump was a fascist.
okay, yeah,
That are now telling us to lock down our children and our society because of a virus, et cetera, and take the
Got
drugs.
him.
The
Got
same
him.
fucking people.
got him. Spells, bro.
oh, also, did you see like now it's come out. Now these same companies are saying, oh, remember when we said that there was Russian agents or Russian officers who were putting bounties on American
Yeah.
soldiers? Well, turns and Trump said that was a hoax, and we were trying to hold him accountable
Like,
for why he
oh,
wasn't doing
yeah.
anything about it. Well, it turns out he may have been right in calling it a hoax because we have not found any evidence that would suggest that these people even wanted to do that. Not saying there's no evidence, obviously no evidence of them ever doing that, but they have no evidence of it even being suggested by their officers, meaning the fucking story was fabricated the entire time, right?
Here's a question real quick. If somebody wanted us to go to war with China, who would they not want us to ally with?
Russia.
So they spent 4
Oh,
years
okay.
preparing that.
Or North Korea.
Oh, not bad even more, but
But I think
Not bad, buddy. Oh, buddy, it's not bad, buddy. That's pretty good, buddy. Buddy, you should really go into that, buddy. That's pretty good.
You should just do like an Indian accent for the rest of the podcast.
God, yeah.
Asif, not Jess.
Oh, if you pretend to be deaf,
Okay. What?
you got me there. You got me there. Fuck,
That's
dude.
pretty good.
No, I think you're muted, Asif. I can't hear you.
Oh shit, dude.
Vigorous clicking.
Yeah.
But Drake, you were gonna say something, I think.
I think I said it.
Okay.
dude, that's epic. It's a really good point.
Hold on. Oh, hey guys, before we continue, like and comment if you agree with what we said.
Or if you disagree.
Of anything.
If
you're not
liking this podcast, you should stop watching this podcast.
Evil Witch. That was good. I can't wait to see what she pulls out next.
Like, comment, and subscribe if you do not like this podcast.
Ooh.
That's really the way to get back at it. Okay, but here's the thing. This is a cult. We're trying to brainwash everybody. So the way that you let people know about that to stop us is to raise awareness about what we're doing and expose more people to what we're saying
Exactly.
so that they can see for themselves that what we're saying is very bad. And
You
evil.
might just get your own cult following if you expose the cult.
That's the
Ew.
truth. If you should hold on, you should make a channel dedicated to exposing
Ew.
us, right? dedicated to exposing us. And what you could do is, here's the thing. You go through each of our podcasts, you find probably the 2-3 minute clips where we're really saying something that we feel is like a really profound, entertaining point. Of course, you know the secret ulterior motive behind it, but you put those clips together and you put really attractive looking thumbnails and like clickbait titles so that people will want to watch it. And then, you know, you can even do some commentary about whatever you want and everything, right? But really just do that and really drive a lot of traffic to your site. People will start following you. They'll start listening to you. You can start selling self-perfected shirts, you know, because you know it's a scam, but it's like you
have to let people know.
The logic doesn't matter. But my point is, you want to spread the awareness about how bad we are.
So that
And I think the
enough
best way
people
to do
know-
that is to start clipping up our
Yeah.
videos and making like short clips that maybe get the attention span of people and like spreading those out and asking people to share it and so forth, right?
That
I'll
was awesome.
share it.
You should maybe share it and then say, "Don't watch this. This is the devil." On
What-
every platform that you
Hold on.
have.
Old
Yes.
grandma. Is that old grandma?
What we need, hold on. Here's what we need. We need a producer that literally doesn't like us and thinks this is a scam and think like we're a cult.
Oh, that'd
We
be great.
that like our producer.
This genius.
It is, yeah.
Now
Do it
hiring.
Destiny style. Call ourselves. a cult,
hiring.
Get people to hate us.
No, we're not going to pay you anything. The pay you're going to get is
The satisfaction of taking down a cult, dude.
the
You're
yes,
welcome.
the
right?
good that you're going to do in this world by making sure that no one ever stands up and talks about doing what's best for all or creating a world that's best for all and
Now
just accepts everything as it
enslaving
is.
the producer.
The governments, the corporations, they have our best interests at heart. Everybody has a right to their own opinion and pursuing happiness, even if it hurts other people. It doesn't really matter. You don't have any human rights. Children are going to be born into poverty. There's nothing you can do about it. Just keep everything as is. Don't worry about it. In fact, since everyone has a right to their opinion and everyone should be able to do whatever they want, even what we're doing would be an expression of that. So you shouldn't really be saying that we shouldn't be doing what we're doing.
So just
But-
go with
That-
how you feel rather than what actually makes
Yeah,
sense.
but because you don't like it, then that's why we shouldn't have a right, even though everyone else should.
let's
have
just
a right.
start World
getting
War
lost.
III. How about that?
That's cool.
Say again?
Let's just start World War III.
I'm cool with that.
It's already started.
I thought we were like on at least 5.
Fuck.
But hey, that's kind of how like COVID's going, right? I saw this.
Oh yeah, we're on like World War III variant 5.
Yeah. Made by Jim Bob. Made by Jim Bob. Great comics. I enjoy them very much. He had one this morning, I think, and it was has the war on terror ended? And the person responding was, we're in a new variant. There's all these variants of it, right? Basically, like, you know, do you think you're gonna get out of pandemic?
Got
Right?
it.
There's gonna be another variant. There's gonna be all these variants, and I
Hey.
mean, we know that.
What we
Hey,
need is a
I got-
war on terrible opinions.
I got a spell breaker.
Go.
Okay. So
Break it with the spell.
that's
break
evil
it.
witch. That's different from grandma.
That's like the Eastern
like Eastern
European.
Eu- yeah, Eastern
Yeah,
European
that's what I'm thinking.
The babushka.
Yeah. shout out to Megan.
You just need to be eating like some kind of like potato soup or something while you do it, like with a ladle.
Shout out to
She's like
Megan
looking for a
with
little.
the Bagbuska.
It's the best she's got. Good licking techniques.
So the spell breaker, I'm waiting for it.
Okay, so how would you summarize like political conservatism? Like, and I mean like actually, not like a satire of it, but like what is conservatism supposed to represent versus liberalism?
Supposed to.
Yeah.
I would say, just from what I think it is it's you believe that you should have less government, less regulation. You shouldn't be spending a lot of money in the government on things that people generally should be responsible for, you know, taking care of themselves basically. And you shouldn't be looking to the government for that. And so
That's
reduce
like
the size
in
of it.
essence the principle, right? The
Basically,
principle.
I think that's probably right. I think even probably conservatives would generally agree with that, I would assume.
Guess if Doug Ford is liberal or conservative.
Fuck.
Well, I think he's supposed to be conservative, isn't he? But I wouldn't actually. think
So
that
so
because-
here's my point. Here's
but
my
so is
point.
Boris Johnson.
But here's my point, right?
Boris Johnson and Johnson over there.
Here's my point. The conservative was willing to compromise on the singular principle that got him elected.
Your audio.
Audio.
Oh, hold
Oh
up.
my god, dude.
Doug Ford's like, nope, nope, nope.
Hello, can you,
Shut up, Asif! God damn it!
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
He was willing to compromise on the singular principle.
Nope. Nope. Gone again.
Are you
What the
fucking
heck is
serious?
happening?
Now we
He's
can.
When you
Tapping-
talk about Doug Ford
tapping your
compromising on
house.
us,
Hello. He was willing to compromise on the singular. I'm looking at the mic thing going up and down. He's willing to compromise on the singular principle that got him elected.
oh, what was it? That he wasn't going to lock everybody down?
Well,
and
no,
call the
think
police
about
on
it.
you?
Conservatism is
Oh,
to
okay.
leave business as it is so it can fucking be governed by market conditions and things like that. Government should stay out.
Yeah.
But he put his hand in there and shut everything down and completely. The whole point is make government conservative.
Oh, I was talking to somebody.
And he's he's extended the reach of government into literally everything to
Yeah.
the degree where the citizens can't leave their house without being questioned.
I was talking to somebody about this this weekend, and they were saying how conservatives, like liberals, they actually they go in, they talk their shit, and they stay with their shit, right? But conservatives, they'll go into office, and then all of a sudden they start leaning more and more and more on the liberal side or left side, whatever. But it's basically because the in order to participate in everything, the people with the money are the corporations.
I mean, you're in the government. So, like, what do you
Right.
expect?
Right. And so, like, if you actually want to participate or get that check or whatever, that's what you have to do. That's where you have to lean. But aside from that, like going further with that point, actually, watching, you were talking about Barricade Garage earlier. He has this really great point. We have a foreign government because our government is run by corporations. They don't see borders. They just see
Oh.
money.
Sounds xenophobic,
shit.
man.
Oh shit, that's a great point though.
But it is, isn't it? Like, okay, so
Well,
that
Shut
means
the fuck up, Cameron. Shut the fuck up, dude.
okay.
Go ahead.
I'll mask myself.
Censor, censor.
Cameron's so cute. He's like, oh, but.
No,
That's
I'll
so
let,
funny.
I'll let you. I'm gonna let you finish.
Thank you, Kanye. So
Just call me Cameron. Yeah.
Cameron, yeah.
Camye.
But the point he was making was like, look, we think that, oh, we have to petition our government. Oh, we have to like get other politicians involved and just hope for them to do something or stand up for us. It's like, that's not going to happen. They don't care about you. They like that ship has sailed. That's a foregone thought, you know, like basically they're beholden to the corporations, to money. That's it. And so if you want things to change, you have to change. You have to change things. You have to be the ones to stand up. And I love that, Asif, you're always making the call for, hey, we have to get into politics, right? If you're willing to do that, if you're the one who's willing to hear this message and you don't want things to go in the direction that they're going, and you're willing to take on that responsibility, here's the route we have to take. We have to get into politics.
How do you go into politics
Let me, yeah.
if you don't have to take money from all those corporations?
Right.
So I wanted to like talk about that point because Maylat's been watching a lot of like Candace Owens, right? And she'll have like a lot
Oh,
of
Uh-oh.
Against black people.
That's going to get real independent on your ass.
tell her to send her card in.
Well, you know
Send it
what's
back.
cool? Like, you know that okay, before being able to think for myself, I would like listen to somebody and be like, wow, they're so cool. Like I'm gonna listen to them. But when I started developing my ability to be like, okay, what's the solution? It's like I would listen to Jordan Peterson, listen, and then it's like, what's the solution? You listen, and like, what's the solution? And it never gets to that point, right? And so even Maylat, like she's listening to all that stuff. She's like, oh man. At first she was really fanatical. Then she was like she's still missing a lot of the points. I'm like, okay, good. You can see that, right?
Did you give her that Adam Carolla one?
Not yet.
Give her that
We're gonna
one.
watch it together. We're gonna
Yeah,
watch it together.
watch that one. Yeah.
That'll be fun. So the point is, the point regularly comes up of, we have Candace, will you get into politics? She's always like, no. So I was considering that point, right?
She
I
could
see
be like
that
our first
all-
black president.
Candace, right?
Hmm?
It's like,
Not Maylat. She's Canadian.
No, Candace.
yeah. The point that I was looking at was the big problem that sets in,
and because you will see this time and time again, you probably heard that of like people, like celebrities who are very outspoken about the political like landscape. It's always like, well, will you get into politics? It's like, no, 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 no. Even when there was Candace as a conservative was talking to another conservative, it's like they're not actually united. They're not actually, they wouldn't actually stand by each other. So deep down, you know, like when people hear that I'm going to get into politics or whatever, right? If I'm employing people to get into politics, they're thinking, oh, dude, like there's no fucking way because people are going to shit on me to no extent.
Like just
I have
randomly
nobody.
go into politics and play the game the way they're doing it, and you're just
Right.
fucked. And so they're like, it's not a solution because they can't see. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And so that's why it's good that we get to talk about it. And if anybody's listening to this and they want to find out the details, then reach out and actually talk one-on-one.
But what if you had 1 million people all standing with the same principle that took years to process themselves to the point of really standing within the principles, the same principles, to where if you're talking to me or Asif or any other random person in the group, they're not going to do exactly the same thing. They're going to be in their situation, in the context, looking at everything, but then operating within the principles to direct things accordingly. So it's not like anyone's controlling what they do. Like the corporations literally are like, don't pass that bill, pass that bill. Here's the bill. Da, da, da. We wouldn't do that. It would just be like, you have the principles, now go fucking figure it out. But what the one thing politicians don't have is real principles. And that's why you're saying they don't actually, even two conservatives don't agree with each other because it's still based on their opinion. And it's like, no, look, here's the principles. Apply that. Process yourself. Remove your limitations.
I'll apply that. So if we're all in a room deciding on something, it's like I'll apply that and I'll read it because I can read and Drake can read, and so he'll apply the principles to it. Cameron will do it, and then we'll all come together because we don't give a fuck about our opinion,
dude.
Because hey, listen to this, okay? In Canada, if you become a member of Parliament, you make like 100 to 200K, and if you win 2 consecutive terms back to back, afterwards. You get 200K a year for life.
So there's no incentive to just stay in office.
Listen. There's no incentive to stay in office. There's no incentive to do well in office. Period. There's nothing about a politician that says do fucking act democratically. All you have to do is manipulate people twice. Imagine you can make 2 fucking sales of something and then you're good for life.
I don't know. Like if do the senators get it for life or something? I'm not sure.
Something like for Congress or something.
So my point is, shout out all the Canadians. If you're just self-interested, join us.
But and think about it, like going into politics, becoming the president, becoming a senator or a congressman. Congressmen make less, but still, it's like one of the highest paid jobs. That's not, you know what I mean? It's literally a job that you can achieve in the system, and it's one of the highest paid jobs. So they're just doing their job too. That's all it is. They're not really there for any other reason. So if you have a group of,
imagine you went to like a McDonald's cashier and you're like, my burger's bad. They're like,
okay, I don't care.
That's like the McDonald's burger.
That's like complaining about the politicians.
Exactly.
And then there's the layer of it where the politicians that you see, the government, it's like, I mean, if you read the Leviathan by Hobbes, he explains this. It's a layer in front of us that looks like that's where the decisions are being made. So when we get angry at AOC or Dan Crenshaw or Rand Paul or whoever. But look at any of the hearings or any of the committee, all this shit. They don't make any real decisions. They argue about stupid shit. Nothing ever changes because that's not where the decisions are made. How is it that like something happens and then there's a bill within a week that's like this tall? Did the senators sit down and start typing on their computer? How were they doing that while who's writing those bills? I mean, we know the answer, but it's not the people in the Congress.
Well, if you think about it like this, like Melat serves as the function of a speechwriter, and she's like, yeah, like the Minister of Health, she's just reading lines.
They're just actors. And
so there's a bunch of organizations that a speech has to pass through, which I've talked about before, of like the gender and diversity group, or all these different points where once it goes through all of them and it's like, okay, you have to put this in there, you have to take that out, you have to put this in there, you have to take that out, and then it gets to the minister and they just deliver the lines.
It's just like the Lionsgate thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you put
exactly.
these systems in place to make sure whatever comes out, it has no effect in terms of what's best for all, and it has only the effect of keeping everybody who put
Hey.
you into office and so forth happy.
And the main point is, just like Bitcoin, it's decentralized. There's no one person. It's not just the minister. It's not just the prime minister. It's not just the president. It's not just the department of blank. That singular person who is responsible for education, the Department of Education head or the Minister of Education Canada is not responsible for all of education. It's like they're just serving as, just like the prime minister. He just is the face of the party.
Bitcoin's not decentralized.
Oh, Cameron, what are you saying? What do you mean by that, dude?
You can look it up. But the point is, but think about this.
But that's what I'm saying.
Then who's controlling everything in politics? It's everyone's pursuit of happiness and self-interest, not considering what's best for all, because they'll never make decisions from that perspective. So the system just come in here. Like, so that's what her point is. If we put people in office that have principles and operate from those principles, we don't need to control what they do. We don't need to incentivize them. You just have to stand within the principles.
And the point about Bitcoin being decentralized, it's like, how do you trade Bitcoin? It has to go through a medium that is being regulated from the perspective of like, sorry, it doesn't have to per se, but that's where 99% of the transactions are taking place. So it's not that your neighbor, there has to be a law that they have to snitch on you. They will just do it. It's not that in the government organizations that are facilitating, whatever speech gets out and consumer facing or client facing or citizen facing, it's just that it's their internal, like, it's their responsibility. It's the social force that is binding them, which is really just money for them to keep their job. That's what's getting them to do it. It's not it's like the conspiracy is actually that we're all accepting that we work on this principle of, I'll go after my self-interest at any cost, and I'll give that to you so long as you let me do it. That's the conspiracy. That's like the actual thing that binds us all together.
Right.
That's happening in every single point that makes the system work. That will always be the case. So it doesn't fucking matter if the lockdowns stop. It doesn't matter if police aren't going to pull you over or whatever. It will, whether it's through government, through an emergency act, through a corporation, whatever the case may be, this is the natural progression of what we are accepting and allowing, which is, I have permission. It's my God-given right. It's my right to pursue my own happiness and not consider the effects of that in the world. Therefore, I grant you the same permission, not realizing that I'm giving you permission to walk all over me and abuse me, because in the same way that I don't want to have to consider the effect of my actions, I'm granting that to you. So even if what you're doing is actually taking away from me, I've accepted that for myself, so I'm allowing it in you. So there's only one solution, because every single person is driven on principle. The Doug Ford, as a conservative, giving up the principle of conservatism in order to just, he is fulfilling another principle, which is the self-interest only point. Fuck conservatism if I could gain power and status and money and all that stuff. Right? Because what got them into there in the first place? It's like the incentive of money and power, and his brother doing a bunch of fucking coke and like having sick parties and shit. Like, you see what I'm saying though? Like, why would politicians get wrapped up in such scandals as like, sexual abuse, like actual sexual abuse and drugs and all that stuff, if they were like there to help the people? Wouldn't you be so focused on helping people and like going out and making a difference because that was your whole career path that you wouldn't have time to fuck around?
And if you were a corporation that wanted somebody to just make decisions on your behalf and never question it, would you choose somebody who was principled or somebody who had habits to feed? Do you know what I mean? Like, of course, you choose those. And if they were charismatic,
who have proven, who have a proven track record of doing whatever it takes.
Right.
And that's how you become a doctor. You go through the ringer for like years. years and years and years and years. And then once they're like, okay, it's the same way you become a soldier. If you question things, you get fucking kicked out. They just beat it into you. So whether it's through physical abuse, verbal abuse, social abuse, or monetary abuse,
Or all of it, all at once.
or all of the above, right? You're not going to get the fucking carrot if you don't do what I say. And the person who are like, whoever it is that's like, okay, I'll do whatever you say. That principle is the conspiracy that everybody is united in that's abusing fucking everybody. So the solution, take it away, Mitchell.
Yeah. Well, if you can't tell, with the whole political movement, we need people for this. We need people who can hear what we're saying and people who have common sense and are fed up with the current system. Guess what? How do we find those people? You share the podcast, you like and you comment, you join the Facebook group. Maybe you could come on the actual Friday calls, participate, add each other on Facebook. It's like we have a whole movement that's growing. But if you're just going to go into that whole point about like, I'm just like here to kind of pursue my own self-interest and like, okay, fuck off, I guess. But like for the people who are actually serious and want to do something with their life, or that whole lockdown thing, it's like, okay, in the past, we could very easily just say, like, you could see the shit on the news and be like, that's happening elsewhere. I'm good. Right. That's not going to happen here. This is America. This is Canada. Now it's like, no, it's in your fucking face.
Isn't the Canadians like, oh, we're so much better than America?
Yeah. No,
but it's like, you guys are getting it way worse.
Fucked. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I didn't even notice with it myself. I'm like, oh, well, hey, it's not as bad as Canada. But I'm like, that's literally coming to a city near you.
Okay, I'm in Texas. We look at you guys up there in Minnesota and we're like, oh, you guys are like Canada.
Right. Yeah. I'm in Florida and we're like, we have the best fucking governor. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, wait until next election. And then we'll see what happens.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Until COVID 330, whatever, 2030.
Yeah.
UN plan 2030, whatever. So yeah, I mean this stuff is all coming down the pipeline and we're either going to step up and take responsibility or not, but it's on each of us as individuals. Like if you're following this group or you say, oh, it's so cool what you are doing with Self-Perfected and all that shit, fuck you, join us. And that with as much love as I can to like really wake up and actually step up instead of just being a passive observer.
And when we talk about politics, realize there's a process you're going to have to walk. It's more about focusing on yourself first. Mm-hmm. But we're really looking for people who are like, okay, I'm not going to react to the idea of politics is bullshit. I'm never going to get into politics. Because it's like, you're going to have to face that point sooner or later. That's why we keep bringing it up. But you're going to start with yourself, walking the process for yourself to really start questioning all the points where you're still allowing yourself to accept things the way they are, because you're still focused on your pursuit of happiness, your self-interest. So as you walk the process of challenging those points, you start being able to live by principle. That's what will allow you to go into politics and actually do something that will matter versus just be corrupted by like everybody else.
So let me say something. Oh, go ahead, Jess. You can go first. Go for it.
So that is the environment we live in currently. The pursuit of happiness is like somebody seeing that I want to go to college for this specific thing, and this college requires all of its students to get the COVID vaccine. Oh, okay. I'm just going to get the vaccine because I need it for my pursuit of happiness. Or you are wanting to go to social gatherings and you're wanting to be accepted at these social gatherings, and you see everybody who is going to these gatherings, they're all getting their vaccine. I just got to get this vaccine so that I can go to this social gathering with them. And you're like, okay, I got it. We're good, guys. Well, you're in your pursuit of happiness, compromising your own body. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you continue to get these vaccines that they're coming out with, you will not be able to fight off any disease, any type of virus without a vaccine for the rest of your life, because your natural immune system will no longer be able to do anything, because this advanced shit that they're putting inside of you is now long lasting and super in the means of it's stronger than your immune system, and it's going to compromise your immune system. Like, you guys,
that's a really great point, Jess. I'm looking at what you're saying. The people who are getting the vaccine already think that they need a vaccine in order to fight off a virus,
Oh shit. True.
right?
Yeah.
So the point that you're making
It's
is,
gonna make it so. That's what you're talking about we end up creating the symptoms, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
Now
Well, it's like if you go to school and then you have kids and you're like, well, I can't teach my kids. It's like, but didn't you go to school? So you put your kids in school, and it ends up being a point where parents are like, there's no way I could educate my child myself.
Mhm.
So it's like the same thing. It's like you're giving all your power to the system, which ends up creating the fact that you didn't spend any time learning how to educate a child because you just figured, oh, I'll just put them in school later.
right.
Yeah.
So then it becomes the way in which your child gets abused by the system because they don't get educated properly.
I was
People don't
referencing when-
understand how many viruses they get exposed to like every day, like
Mhm.
on a
How many
regular
viruses
basis.
are in your body right now.
It's
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
even about being exposed to it.
And
It's
like,
it's
yeah.
in you.
It's already within you, or how much how much bacteria, like all the processes that go in, like people don't even realize that they have more bacteria in their gut than they have their own cells on their body, in their own body. Like
Yeah.
people don't realize this, right? And so
Lack
the
of
point
education.
the point that you're making, Jess, of like, if you start going down this path of I need a vaccine every time there's a virus, like you're gonna need a lot of fucking vaccines. You're not even gonna be able to operate. Your system's not gonna run.
Or like how people use hand sanitizer all the fucking, and this was even before.
True.
And dude, and we know the people who worked for the companies
Yeah,
that started that whole thing.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
It fucks with you.
And
It's just like with the kids wearing the mask all the time. They're gonna be psychologically fucked, stunted, not able to deal with society. The only thing they're gonna feel comfortable with is a job where they can sit in front of a computer and never talk to anybody.
look up still face experiment. This is what Drake was talking about how if a parent
Yeah,
just
it's
looks at a kid
legit.
with a blank face, look up still face experiment.
so why I brought that point up was because people are not willing to investigate. People are not willing to educate themselves. They're only willing to pursue their happiness, which means compromising in whatever means to do that, accepting whatever they're presenting to you. And that is why society has escalated to the state that it is in now. That is why you walk into a store and the employees will yell at you profusely and call the cops on you if you're not wearing a mask. That is why we are in this state of existence where you can't even walk on the same side of the street as somebody else who's going to cross you before they go to the other side because they're like, fuck that. I'm
Or
not
you
gonna
go,
walk right
or you
next
go in
to
a
you."
restaurant like we did this morning. So we just go in, we don't wear our mask, we go straight to the counter. Like we kind of know the whole thing. And it's like literally people will give you these looks. One, they're all sitting at a table with their masks off. Two, you just look in the kitchen. None of them are wearing masks. They're wearing it over their face. They're just using their hands, everything. I'm like, it's like literally all here for you to just see, like, it's complete bullshit. Like if you're actually afraid of this virus and you were serious about this, like you wouldn't go out to a restaurant or leave your home. But like,
So the thing I want to
hilarious.
present is for anybody who's even willing to investigate information and learn it for themselves, see what's going on, and they are sick of the control. They're sick of not being able to gather with other human beings and mastermind and discuss the state of the society. Like if you're sick of it, seriously, like this is what we're doing. We're exposing this information to you. We're gathering. We all have our own groups that in person gather in each of our individual cities. Like reach out, get connected. We have people all around the whole world, you guys, literally all around the whole world. So no matter where you are, we can connect you to the people near you. This is a movement that is going to change the trajectory of the human race, of all life, really, because we are not compromising. We are informing ourselves. We are educating ourselves. And we want to support other people to do the same. That is why we literally have this podcast, is so that we can voice this. We can be like, hey, look at this. Come educate yourself and develop yourself and inform yourself. And let's start spreading this with more people, because that's the only way that we're going to change the world, is if we share this. Because if you don't share this and just keep it for yourself and not even change yourself, then you're accepting and allowing the system in the state that it is in. It's not enough to just hear this information, and it's not enough to just change yourself. You also need to share. You also need to join. You need to just plug into this system. And we are here to support you no matter how messed up your life is, no matter how difficult your life was, no matter how hard it seems to face everything. That is okay, because I can guarantee you somebody in our network has gone through something similar that you have, and we're here to support you through it, because it is difficult and it is scary and it is hard, but it is worth it.
Now, think about this. Seriously, look at this week, you sharing this podcast with someone in your circle, some friend, family, whoever. You sharing this with them and then having a conversation with them about it. Now look at all the bullshit your mind comes up with of, I can't do that. No, I'm going to wait till next podcast. I'll just keep listening. And at some point I'll do something. That's the fucking system. And that's why you're just equal to that. To step up with us, have real conversations with people, start a local clubhouse, right? Get involved. Otherwise, you know where it's headed.
Also, look how much fun we're having doing this. We're having so much more fun than anybody else who's accepting the system and the state that it's in. Literally, we're all here. We have friends around the world. We travel to see each other. We're getting new houses. We're getting new cars. We're getting girlfriends. We're going to all have kids. Like, we're all creating this beautiful community of people
Jess
who
has
are
got a
thriving and on
girlfriend.
top of the world. And we want you to join us, thrive with us, live with us. Like,
No
this
vaccine
is it.
needed. No
But,
vaccine
but vaccine passport needed.
needed.
No vaccine.
But but seriously, like the last point that I have is whatever you're looking for with the self-interest, like you're looking for money, you're looking to be important. But the way that you're thinking you do that through becoming a XYZ, and even the word
Oh shit, is that a new gender?
entrepreneur-
I have to come up with I have to remember another one now.
yeah, XYZ.
LGBTQ
And-
XYZ. Okay.
So
I am Izzy. Get it right.
And so the point being that entrepreneur is just like being a teacher. It's just like being a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. In your desire to do that, you got programmed to do that so that you never do anything. And in your pursuit of self-interest, you will never get it. Because the way that you're thinking you get it is totally fucking wrong. Because if you actually want to be unique, if you actually want to be important and special, do something that nobody else is doing. Live by principle. Let go of the, okay, I'm going to do things only out of self-interest. Because at the most fundamental level, that is conformity. And it doesn't even make sense. It's not even the best thing for you. It's not good for you to like have a shitty relationship where you just abuse your partner by being like, oh,
Be
fuck you, bitch.
depressed.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Paycheck.
however, what was that?
I was like, and be depressed, live paycheck to paycheck,
Exactly. Like, why? So you're afraid
be unsatisfied, constantly wanting more.
You're afraid to stand up and speak out against your family so that you can maintain what? You're afraid of standing up and speaking out against Facebook or Twitter, whatever the fuck, right? Whatever you're afraid of. So you can maintain what?
It's not maintain anything. It's just so I don't have to feel bad, Asif. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to
That's
make
the
this.
truth.
feel
Think about this. Everybody's
wanna
trying to
feel
pursue happiness, right? And what we're saying is if you keep focusing on that, this is the world we're creating. And if you think back to that Agenda 2030 article from Forbes, remember? And it's like, I don't own anything. I don't, it's like you don't have any
I have no
rights or anything,
privacy,
but
yeah.
I've never been happier. It's like literally they're redefining happiness
Yeah.
as living a shitty fucking life and not having anything and having no relationships and no kids and nothing. I'm like, that's not happiness. What we're doing is actual happiness, but we're not pursuing it. We're focusing on living by principle. And you get all those things.
they're redefining happiness as not having any responsibility,
Right.
which is
Well,
what people think that they want because people are immature.
Spells.
that's what
right?
freedom is, right? Yeah, spells, man.
Yeah.
That's what people think freedom is.
That's what they think freedom
Yeah.
is.
So
That's
So
so
everybody do this. That's what they think freedom
That's
is.
what they think.
That's what
freedom
you
is.
think freedom is.
freedom is. That's what they think freedom is.
But like that point of, go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's a fascinating point I hadn't considered in a very long time. But
When Mitch has something to say, he always gets precedence because he never speaks.
Because he never speaks.
Everybody shut up. Mitch is talking.
Go ahead, go
Don't fuck this up,
Everyone-
guys.
make me feel special.
Don't
Okay.
fuck this up, guys.
Mitch, don't leave again.
I had to walk Teddy. He's got it.
Nah, respect. Shout out Teddy.
Not in the house.
Shout out
Shout out
Teddy.
Teddy.
When Teddy listens to this podcast, he'll hear that we shouted him out.
He'll be like, "Ruff." Teddy mark of approval. So I was having this conversation the other day. We were having dinner with my parents. And I was talking to my mom, and I was explaining to her how as a child, and obviously, and not every child has this per se, but it's like if you have a relatively good upbringing as a child, your natural state is like happiness and kind of joy, and you're just here and like expressing yourself, whatever, until you get the shit beat out of you from the system. But like there's that moment in childhood where you know what I'm talking about. The kids
Yeah,
just,
that's
like,
why
running
you have
around
to lie to
laughing.
them about Santa. We know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let him be a kid, right? So it was fascinating. I brought that up to my mom of like, hey, after you use TechnoTutor for a while, you do self-forgiveness. It's like you're able to just kind of enjoy being here. You aren't so in your mind and all of that. Kind of like a kid. Kind of like when Jesus was talking about become like a child again.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh yeah, like when you're a kid, you just kind of have fun. It's like you can just enjoy things. But then she goes, because there's like you don't have that sense of responsibility. I was like, oh, I was skipping over that because it's like
That's a
that
massive point.
association with being happy. You don't have responsibility. When in actuality, I was never fucking happy. I was chasing happiness in the past until I realized, oh shit, the more responsibility I take, the better my life gets all around.
Seriously.
You-
And
you
it's
know-
funny
That's so
because
huge.
it's funny because anytime you bring up I realized this, like if I ever brought up any of the things we were planning on doing with our new house to his parents, they're like, oh, just start with maintaining the property the way it is. Just start by moving in. Just start with just being there, because they project their stress of us taking more responsibility onto us, saying
Right.
that's too much. You shouldn't take any extra responsibility. Just move into the property, one step at a time. And I literally now no longer talk about what we're going to do because we have so many plans of what we're going to do with the property. Like
Mhm.
we have a lot of stuff that we're eventually going to do. And it may not be in the next year, 2 years, 3 years. That's because we think about all of it. We don't just think the next year. We also think 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. You know what I mean? And so we have a ton of responsibility where we have willingly accepted to take on because we have within, guys, it's official. It's been a year.
1 year.
It's been
Oh.
a year.
Oh, it's literally our 1 year anniversary right now. Wow.
Congrats.
Oh, not bad, buddy.
Like literally probably this exact time too. Like 1 year.
And you're spending
So-
it with us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
I got you
at the end
these.
of the day, that's cool.
This is my anniversary gift to
You
her.
got him.
You
Some,
got
you got her
me
some
right.
micro P's.
He's already been giving her that micro P.
Hey, check this out. Here's a thought. In closing, I'd like to talk for another 30 minutes.
Wait. Okay, I was gonna say don't close yet. Don't close.
Yeah.
No, but what I was gonna say is like, so imagine, like we know one of the ways you support yourself with building more success in your life, success in the context of the system and making money and so forth, is you do like dream building. You go and you look at things you want, and you basically stretch your idea of what is possible for yourself, right? And it's kind of like, we know the elite do that. Like that's part of their success, right? Or their process. So I'm like imagining how the elite are always thinking bigger and bigger and what they can have. And so for like Bill Gates is now the largest landowner in the United States or something like that, private landowner. But like going back to that Agenda 2030, they're getting everybody else to think the future and happiness is less and less and less and less. So they're literally like, okay, we literally got to a point where we can't accumulate any more unless we literally get everybody else in the world to be like, I don't really need to own a house. I don't need to get married. I don't need to have kids. I just give me a computer or an iPhone and just let me sit in my room and just hook me up to the pea cricket juice, and like literally
And
it's like,
Wi-Fi.
So it's like literally your reverse dream building. It's like 2030 of like, I've never been happier. And I'm just, it's so I'm in bliss. Ignorance is
Amazing.
bliss. Like
That's
literally, I don't
amazing.
know anything. I don't have anything. I don't own anything. I've got nothing. And I'm just as happy as I've ever been.
Wow.
You,
That's
you
a
know,
really great point.
what I see is interesting that maybe you might be able to see this as well, Cam. But like when I was a kid, I wanted to do more things. Like I always wanted to do things. There was always things that like, I want to do this. I wanted a job because I wanted to be able to like go out and have some responsibility. Like I wanted to take on
Serve a
more
function.
responsibility. Yeah. Like I wanted to, like, I want to be doing something. I want to do something that's worthwhile, worth my time, that kind of thing. Right. And so it's interesting how people say like, as a child, what makes you happy is not having responsibility. That wasn't the case for me.
That's further than that's so much. That's opposite.
There's
That's
so
just
much
because,
shit that you want to
um,
do as a kid,
Yeah,
That's
if-
because people dumb their kids down.
But
Because
it's not
like,
the case though, because if you give a child and like, hey, can you wipe this up? Hey, can you help me blend this batter for these cookies? Hey, can you do whatever? Can you
They get excited.
right.
exactly?
Can I help you make the cookies? Can I help you make dinner?
Exactly.
Did y'all see
Can I
that
help you
that
please?
video Katie put up of like the kids helping her scrub the oven?
Mhm.
Yeah.
She sprayed it with this natural cleaning stuff, whatever, and they were like scrubbing it and everything and scraping it up, all the stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And like Max, and he's 4.5, Seneca's still 2.5, so he does this more so than her at this stage. But a lot of times he'll say like, "Oh, well, I want to create like a car that also can do this, but it uses a smaller battery." Like he comes up with all these ideas of stuff he wants to do. And like last night, it must have been like 10 o'clock at night, and he was like, because we've been listening to all this different music, and he's like, I want to go downstairs and put on a costume, and I want to pretend like I'm Yellow Magic Orchestra, and we can get out the synthesizers and the speakers, and let's put on a concert. And so because he goes, we need to practice every day so that when Drake and Avery come back, we can do a concert for them.
Oh,
Because I explained to
fucking
him,
awesome.
these guys can do this stuff because they practice a lot. They didn't just like wake up one day and suddenly they could do all of it. But in other words, the reason why for him, he wants to do these things because he's developing the vocabulary. The only reason you would at a certain point accept, I don't want more responsibility, is because you literally can't understand it. You're like, I can't do that.
right.
So-
So why would people nowadays, like young people now, be okay with not ever having a home?
Because they have
Because-
low vocabulary. and
Well, they
don't
can't even see
understand
a
it.
way they could get a job that would even
Mm.
allow them to do that, because none of their friends are doing it and they're all living at home anyway. So they're like, well, fuck it. Let's just not worry about that.
Yeah.
Just as long as you get rid of my student debt, then I'll be okay. And it's like, why do you give a shit about your student debt anyways? Then
You're gonna die.
doesn't matter.
You're gonna die. You're not gonna have anything to show for it anyway. Who cares? But it's cool that you're making this point about sharing with Max that, hey, you have to actually practice. You have to train in order to get that good so that he can actually prepare himself.
Every day, multiple times a day, Seneca will go on her own, get out her
seen them.
saxophone, play the saxophone, put it back, go get her violin, play her violin for a moment, put it back, multiple times a day, every day for the past like several. I think it's probably been a month or so since we got those things.
She was doing it since before I got there.
Right away. And like, we don't tell him to do it. She just goes and she does it. She plays it. And then she's visibly improving. Like you see actual improvement. Like she couldn't even make the saxophone make a sound. She's 2.5. She can make the saxophone make a sound. And now she can play notes on it. She'll be like, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how is she? But she's able to do it. So not having, like, that's a responsibility if you think about it. But people think of responsibilities as the negative, like what you guys were saying earlier, that idea of, well, it's like, because you didn't have responsibilities. What do you mean? Like Katie asked me, because we're getting the house on the market. She asked me to go clean off the gutters. So I just had to pull all the leaves off. It wasn't a big deal anyways. But I wasn't like, oh, I have to do this responsibility. It was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I got all the leaves down so we could pick them up and they wouldn't be there. That's not, why is that a negative thing? Why is taking responsibility for something negative if it's something
Yeah, I
in
was just
alignment
gonna
with what
say
you're
that.
wanting to do?
We are literally conditioned from a very young age from the people in our environment to not want to take responsibility, to literally react to taking responsibility, to see a pile of dishes and think, I don't feel like doing that right now, to despise piano lessons from
Doesn't
a
Santa
young
Claus
age.
play right into that? Think about it. You don't have to do anything, and magically, all you have to do is be good, which is not measurable, and magically you get presents. And people
You
and,
just have
and
to
parents
appease the
act
parent.
like, but someday they're gonna have to get old and realize they need to do stuff, and so I'm just gonna let them be kids. It's like, but my kids are understanding responsibility now, and you guys know they are like joyous little bubbly children who, the moment they see you, they start smiling and laughing. They're not like all the kids who are apparently getting to be kids. They're like little zombies.
Yes.
They're like little, and the cell phones, you give the kid the cell phone. Now, as a parent, you don't have to take responsibility. You put them in school. Now you don't have to take responsibility. You teach them about Santa. Now you don't have to take responsibility because you can always just threaten them with not getting presents.
Send them
At
to
at
daycare.
what point do they get to live life, right? Because if you put a phone or a tablet or social media in front of anyone, what are they actually doing, right? What are they actually creating? What are they
Nothing.
what value are they giving back to the world? They're literally just
Their
sitting there.
attention so that they know how to train people to be on social media longer.
Hey, maybe they could get hooked up to that cryptocurrency thing, and they could just mine cryptocurrency.
When we were talking about earlier about how they're training kids right now, you're at your school and you're in this little cubicle and you're just typing away, right? Where eventually it's going to go is you don't move from this space and you're hooked up to some feed or whatever. You can
Cricket
pee
juice.
poop in your cricket juice. You can pee poop right there in your seat because it's got
Same
a little hole
tube.
cut out. Same tube. It's just recycled. You're not looking at it anyway. It doesn't matter.
All about sustainability, right?
But that could, like, there's that crypto patent that's as you're moving your body, certain processes that happen within your body, that's when you get paid out. That this is the mining, right? Think about how they're taking information right now from adults who are working remotely. They're taking their information and they're synthesizing all of this information. They're synthesizing like, oh, look at the way they're moving their mouse, and they're calling it, they're measuring their productivity. Why are they measuring all of this stuff? So that they can automate a lot of these processes, right?
Wait, hold on. Hold on. What? They're measuring.
Okay, so a large corporation that
fucking-
has sent home a lot of their employee base,
Wow.
but still require them at the moment to do a lot of like data entry, things like that, right? They are measuring and recording their keystrokes, their mouse
Oh,
movements,
shit.
literally everything that they're doing. What they have to go to this page, then they have to go to that page. What did they take from this page? Okay, and where did they put it on that page? They're measuring all of this and aggregating all of this data so that, for one, they can start to automate all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And recognize, okay, what is actually making us get these results, right? But two, if you know the movements or the parts that need to happen, even if you can't necessarily automate it, you can reward it, right?
Huh. Nice.
So when something happens that's like, oh, this matches that pattern that we saw earlier that produces the profit for us, that's when, bing, hey, you just got a little Bitcoin in your pocket, you know?
Like, you're really fucking smart, dude. What that pieced together for me was the point of well, what the patent 060606 from Microsoft is doing is having like little nanoparticles throughout your body. But basically it's it's being connected to a cloud device so that it can exchange information, right? And with that, if you go back to the chief medical officer of Moderna, he's talking about information therapy. That's what RNA vaccine would be. So what he's talking about is being able to, I don't know if he said this or this was me connecting the dots, but it happened in my head. I don't remember if it was because I was connecting the dots or he said this, right? But it's like, imagine being able to put he was calling the vaccine, right, information therapy, and he was saying it's amazing, right? Imagine being able to put something into your body that can connect to the cloud, solve the information that needs to be downloaded into your body in order to support your health, right? And so See, and the thing is, it really comes back to this point of like that within and of itself is not bad. It's because we live in a system designed for profit that they're going to find a way to
But
profit.
they're not looking at the root of the disease. They're just
Exactly.
looking at taking
The response,
which is environmental and so forth, and in a lot of ways mental. And they're just like, let's give you cures for everything instead of, again, not taking self-responsibility
and
at
so
the end of the day.
and whoever's allowing that into them is the starting point is not taking responsibility. So that point and connecting it with the patent and looking at how they're measuring what Drake just mentioned, they're measuring the movements and the productivity. It's like, this is what Catherine Austin Fitts was mentioning about the end game being, we have a bunch of robots. We have a bunch of human beings with nanoparticles in them that is uploading information into the cloud about every movement, every single thing, and then downloading it into the AI so they can replace the human being. Damn, dog. Crazy.
Didn't you talk about energy credits too?
Isn't everyone also believing that heaven is up there and they're literally just trying to put you in the clouds?
Got him.
That's your self-interest. You're literally creating a world where you're just going to live in a cloud.
Jeez.
So should they like and comment and subscribe? Like if you want to live in a cloud. Comment if you think heaven is cloud computing.
and comment
share
what
this
kind of
video.
type, what type of cloud you want to live in.
Yeah. Comment if you think heaven is a cloud database run by Oracle-backed software.
Oracle back.
We need to get into that debate a little bit. Yeah. Is it Oracle? What's the actual underlying structure there? Or is it just gold bricks? I don't know. Crypto. Oh, heaven. Oh, okay. It's crypto
Subscribe if
currency bricks. It's
if you think-
blockchains. It's blocks. It's gold. It's crypto blocks. That's heaven. It's
Yes,
paved
gold
with those.
bricks, crypto blocks. Yeah.
Yes. Now I'm getting it.
So like, subscribe, comment.
No, comment or
Comment,
yeah,
like,
you could like it, comment,
subscribe.
subscribe if you haven't. Share it.
Bonus if you share with someone and talk with them about this.
Hold on, I will put my money where my mouth is. If you create your own
cryptocurrency.
channel where you create clips of our videos in order to expose us by taking what we're saying, you can't take it out of context because obviously the person would see through that. I mean, come on, you don't want to you want to give people the truth about what we're really saying. And you were like, put these things together and start like sharing them everywhere and like promoting it and everything to like expose us, obviously. I'll even give you a t-shirt. And then you can make the videos where you're like, I hate these people, these idiots.
And I'll give you a thumbs up on your videos.
I will watch and share your videos just to, because I'm like a masochist. That's the one where you
That's where you hurt
You
yourself.
enjoy the
yeah.
pain.
yourself.
Yeah.
I will share my
I'll
own.
comment. I'll be like, hey, screw you, buddy. And then I'll make you even more famous.
Yeah.
I mean, not that talking
I'll
shit.
follow you. I will just follow you.
Yeah, dude. Straight up, I'll do whatever you say, man.
I'll follow you to
I
your
want to be
house.
famous like you.
If you create a cult called Exposing Self-Perfected,
I'll share your videos.
as long as you call it a cult, I'll join it.
Yeah. 'Cause we
And
love-
I'll be on there like, yeah, fuck these people.
That sounds good.
Fuck that
When-
guy.
when-
in that hat.
with you know, deep fakes, that'll be the day when someone has a deep fake of each of us.
What?
Oh man.
How do you know I'm not a deep fake right now?
What's a deep fake?
Are you kidding me,
deep
Asif?
Yeah, no, I'm serious, Mitchell.
That's
Dude,
just
I'm
always
so
second.
Make one of you.
As if-
I think the Ontario lockdown thing was the first time that you found out about something in real time.
It's only because of Maylat. to be honest. No, it's 100%. It's 100% only because of Maylat. If I know anything about anything, it's because of Maylat.
Mostly, Asif spends most of his time wandering around Ontario looking for a soccer field with no cops around.
Exactly. Just have a soccer ball. They're like, what are you doing with that? I'm like, nothing. I'm headed
I'm
home.
acting.
Put a mask on your soccer ball. Be like, it's cool. We're good.
That
Yeah.
sounds so accurate. That sounds so accurate. Like
It's like I'm only dribbling the ball 6 feet apart. I always keep it 6 feet apart. All right.
Oh,
Right.
sports in the future, socially distant sports. Somebody figure that out. Get back to us.
Not
I
bad.
don't know. Everyone's gonna get vaccinated. I don't know what's gonna happen in like 6 months. Maybe there won't be any sports players.
Fuck, dude.
I
Oh,
think we'll end it here.
Oh, you know what? Hey,
If not-
one more thing.
Wait, a couple more things.
I stand corrected. I
For
stand
like
corrected.
2 hours or so. You know, they're programmed you as human beings. Virus is bad, and human beings carry virus. And even if you're asymptomatic, you still spread it. You know what wouldn't catch a a biological virus, a robot. Soon we're gonna be watching the fucking robot Olympics, dog. That's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen, Mitchell. I got it. Aren't you happy you stuck around for that shit?
Viruses are critical to your body. We say they're bad. You breathe out CO2. We say that's bad.
Yeah.
You say taking responsibility is bad. Somebody has to take responsibility for this. You're like, oh,
Guys, educating your kids is not that important. Telling the kids the truth is not that important. Like, what do you expect? Like, it's gonna just create some kind of society where everybody just like fucking wears masks and stays 6 feet apart and like believes the authority without question. Like, I mean, come on,
like, come on, dude.
God. So, yeah, all right. Jeez, seriously, let's end
See you
this.
later.
Bye, everybody.
I
See you next week.